This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
What a great morning to start with the zebras. I have got a dozen of zebras here by the western side of the Greater Kruger National Park, Sabi-Sands Juma Game Reserve. And most of all, a very good morning. This is Sydney Fumurani Mikosi, and I'm traveling with Senzo, who is my camera operator this morning. We are going to try and look for the interesting animals this morning. For in case if you need our attention, you can follow us on Twitter, #SafariLive. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. Going back to the zebras, look at them slowly moving around at the moment. It's very rare to find the zebras lying down. When we got here, a couple of them were just resting, lying down, and mostly zebras, you'll see them up and running. We were received by the big zebra, which is much more on the right. I'll show you just now. And this zebra looks very, very heavily pregnant. So I haven't seen the small baby zebras yet. You can see that the stomach looks very much big there. So you will see as soon as this female gives birth, the zebras, the dominant male, we call him a stallion. And the female is a mare. So this one probably we have just seen now, the camera going past is a male. The females, we call them a mare. So the male is just walking around. I'm not too sure if he's now interested to mate with one of the females. So now let's quickly cross over to Steve, who is also about to kickstart his game drive.
Good morning, everybody, and well, the dam cam strikes again. We were given some reports that there were some lions by the dam cam about 45 minutes ago, and well, we came down the hill and we heard the guinea fowl going crazy, and they told us once again they were still here. My name is Steve. I'm joined by Davidito on camera, and well, what a way to start the morning. The rain is not pouring, but it's just spitting down. It is nice and cool. It's a perfect opportunity to find some lions, and well, I haven't 100% confirmed who these guys are. Off to the right there seems to be like it might be one of those Mangeni males who is coming back into condition. I haven't seen them with my own two eyes, but there's something about the look on his face that is telling me he is a Mangeni male. But there are more behind there in the thickets. We'll establish the sighting shortly and find out exactly who these cats are. That seems to be another one with mange, but then the others are looking in okay condition. So not 100% sure how many lions we have here, but we'll be able to maneuver around and try to get to better position. We did come through the quarantine open area just before, and we saw the family of zebra there, but with reports of lions we thought let's go and see if we can track them down. Don't forget, everybody, we are live and interactive, and you may certainly send through your questions at #SafariLive or your comments as well. Drop them in also on the YouTube chat stream. Love to hear from you. Okay, so everybody says that there were 11 lions. Well, we're going to see if we can count them in a little bit, see exactly who we've got here. I haven't seen the Unkuhumas since September. But anyway, up in the Mara, I don't think it's raining this morning, but no doubt David has got at least one shuka wrapped around his shoulders.
A very good morning, everyone, and Jumbo from the Maasai Mara Triangle in Kenya. My name is David, and with me on camera today is Archie. Archie, good morning, and we're all very excited to be out here, and it feels pretty cold. I got almost all my layers that I used. This is my last one because it's rather chilly today, 16 degrees Celsius and 61 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty cold by any standard, and I can see some vapor coming out of my mouth. Not sure you can see that. That says it's pretty chilly. So I may need to make some coffee on the way out there. I look for some elephant dung and light some fire and very quickly heat some water, add some coffee and take it. Just keep it warm. I'm sure my friends have always told you possibly questions, comments, as usual, hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. My plans, as the year is 2 days old, is to go to what I call the Sausage Republic. I was there yesterday, and instead of seeing the sausages, well, I saw one male in that particular coalition. But most important, or the most interesting thing, I saw 2 leopards that were mating. I thought that was very special. 2 leopards mating. So I swing by to find out whether that is still going on. But possibly there's one girl that is missing, and we think that one girl of the Sausage Republic or the Sausage Pride could have brought us new cubs for the new year. We haven't given her name, but the last I saw her, she was even struggling to walk. So chances are we could be having on top of the 3, minimum, I would guess minimum, she'll bring us 2 more. So we'll have 5 cubs. Or she can surprise us with 3 or 4. So let's all cross fingers, let's go close our toes and see what happens. The oldest female in that particular pride is called Kinky Tail. She got a split on her tail. She is also pregnant. How does that sound? So this new year, Kinky Tail could be a few more days to go, because I saw her last Saturday and she was moving around and trying to hunt. So I think she is not due yet. But the other one, I got a feeling, if not yesterday, today, if not today, then not more than 48 hours. So we shall be able to estimate the ages of those calves that she'll bring with a lot of accuracy. Today being the 2nd day of the year. And for those who I did not meet yesterday, to all of you, a very happy new year. It's not all yet. This is the 2nd day where we are in Kenya. And it's about 6:10 in the morning. So we're just starting our 2nd day of 2019. All right, still dark here. As you can see, we are always 1 hour ahead of South Africa. So I'll have my spotlight out like that to see whether I might be lucky to see lions like what Steve will have.
Well, thank you, Gigi. Stay warm up there in the north. It is really lovely here this morning. The rain is just pitter-pattering down. I put my jacket on for about 2 minutes and it's way too hot for that. There's a humidity out here that really does keep you very, very nice and warm. The rain's actually quite nice and cooling. Well, folks, I haven't seen the Unkuhumas for some time, and I'm trying to establish exactly whether it is them or not. There on the back right is definitely a young male, and there on the front left is another young male. So I haven't seen the Unkuhuma male in some time. We've only managed to count 9 lions here so far. Okay, so everybody seems to agree it's the Unkuhumas. I haven't seen Amber Eyes or one of the very characteristic lioness yet amongst this pride. Okay, well, there we go. This female over here on the left, Darby, she's the one with the injury on her back left hip. So that is exactly the Unkuhuma pride. She always made identification very easy. That first one there on the right. Remember how bad that wound looked on her leg earlier this year? It was an absolute mess of an injury. Still don't know what happened. I arrived and it was pretty bad. I remember all the viewers telling me, well, if you thought that was bad, you should have seen what it looked like before. So, and then I remember when they actually had a little bit of a confrontation with, it was either the Talamati or Tortured Pride, and she came back and that wound was reopened. Poor girl. She's looking strong though. Looking strong. And well, where I was getting to about the zebra and the wildebeest family, we passed them on quarantine in the open area just up the way here. And so many times in the past we've had the Unkuhuma pride coming through and having a bit of a drink and then moving straight through quarantine. Often we just find the tracks there and we see they've clearly been hunting. But those prey animals quite enjoying those open areas from a safety point of view. Firefly, they're not looking starving, but they're not looking extremely full. a lion pride really takes a lot of food to get them to the level of being full. And when there's this many now, you can have a look at the side of the belly there. It's not really standing up. When a lion is full, the tummy stands up higher than the rib cage, and that is just there between sort of the back leg and the rib cage itself. That area there will be extended, distended, really, really high. And there we go, she moved it a bit. I think they are hungry. If anything, they might have had a couple of impala or two over the last few days. Okay, she's always alert, vigilant. Come on, lionesses, let's have some action this morning, shall we? Hello, sorry about my break there. David, you wonder if mange leaves permanent scarring? Well, it seems to be. Whenever you see sort of an animal that's gone through a form of mange, we might not have seen the mange itself. For example, Amber Eyes has got these sort of markings on the back of her neck, and they seem to be permanent features now to her sort of her physique. But I'm not 100% sure. I mean, if these are indeed the Mangeni males off to the left there, they don't look too bad. I mean, the footage I've seen of them was really, really hideous. And if anything, the fur seems to have grown back again. So it doesn't seem to have scarred them too badly, considering what they used to look like. The hair's just growing back in places. It might just always be a little bit irritated. But considering what that animal looked like there, I think he's looking rather sharp compared to a few weeks or a month ago. I suppose with any skin disease, if the fur is able to grow back, you won't really notice it. But maybe underneath the skin there will be some form of irritation and scarring. Hello, Teresa. Good morning to you. Yes, indeed, after rain, all territorial mammals that use a scent marking will move around their territories once again to remark and to re-scent mark that territory. And lions are no different. And we might even, when they stand up, they might do a little bit of spraying right where they are. Lion prides don't seem to do it or show it as obviously as leopards. Leopards will walk this whole boundary and you'll see them clearly doing it. Lions, just as they move, they'll just in their position where they are will scent mark. But they don't seem to do these huge long border patrols, which we do find with the males. The male lions definitely do that, but they encompass much larger areas as well on their wanderings. The prides seem to just, as they go along, spray and scent mark and scratch trees. It's kind of always that very interesting sort of dynamic between the prides. I mean, we see how many lion prides have moved in and out of Djuma in the time. Those Egyptian geese have suddenly realized there's lions by the pen. Silly things. I know. They've seen a goose coming from a long way away. They saw that goose flying in just on the right. They saw him a long time ago, and they were warning him, there is no landing here, Sonny. No landing here. But very interesting how we also saw up in the Mara how those prides would sort of just amalgamate in certain areas, sort of crossing boundaries as if there was nothing. So I think that the dynamics of a lion pride and the lion pride territory is very fluid, and a lot of it's got to do with water. And you've seen leopards as well here moving into areas that aren't theirs and seemingly just carving it out for a period of time. We often have had lion prides on the property that make a kill and then leave straight away before they get found out by the owners. But we saw so many times the Olololos or Winos in a very similar area to the Marsh River Pride, or the Mara River Pride, should I say. And those boundaries, we don't really know how they work. But indeed, the pride territory defended by the females, but we have not seen them. I haven't seen them in a confrontation for some time. Here we go. Up she gets. A little bit of a stretch. Hopefully this will lead to some movement. But anyway, Sidders is on the search for a spotted cat, as he does so well. Let's go see how he's getting along.
Earlier by the Viotella Pen, where there is a very beautiful sighting of the lions. Before these lions, there was a leopard hanging around there. So I'm trying to separate the two different tracks on the ground here, and I can see that the leopard track just got disappeared around here as well, but I can't see where it's coming out. I want to see if we can find that leopard, because it was difficult to identify it from the dam camp, but it was spotted here during the early hours of today. So now it's drizzling and all the tracks are just fainting at the moment, not clearly visible on the ground at the moment. So you can see that is drizzling from the pan here. Apologies for the poll. Fuma, I am with you. I strongly agree that the suspect, one leopard, which has been spotted there, might be the little chief. You can see there by the Galago pen that the rain is drizzling at the moment. So this rain is the one which is now making it much more difficult for me to get the tracks of these beautiful cats. So it means now, alternatively, I must have to rely on my eyesight. So I prefer to do tracking on these animals, because I know that these days the bush is still very thick. It's not easy, so I must have to check both the ground and behind the bushes. A child of the universe is very much easy to distinguish between the two. Every day we talk about Tingana, the Duke of Juma, which is which is now about 13 years. So if Tingana is now about 13 years, it means it's big, and the size of the paws, they are also much larger than Hosanna, who is just about now getting towards 3 years. In terms of the size, Hosanna's tracks are much smaller than Tingana's tracks. That is the kind of an identification I am using on the ground, the size of the tracks. So if I come across a nice and clear track of Hosanna, I will show you, and when we see Tinganas, I will show you, then you can be able to easily distinguish. So now let's quickly go back to the lions.
Well, thanks, Sidders. Good luck that side. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. I could smell the lions in the air. I do apologize for that. I don't know what happened there. You can actually smell them. There's a very gentle breeze. The smell of lion is all over the place, and wet smell of wet lion. Well, it's not the nicest of smells in the world, and I think that what might have caused me to sneeze. And all the Umkahumas are doing what they do best, lying flat. The injured female, the old female with the injury on the hip, is now here. And, well, I can't believe it, because, I mean, that's sort of a little bit better than what it looked like when I started a whole year ago. Can you believe it? I started last year on the 2nd of January, which gives an entire year today. And that injury looked quite bad at the time, and I remember everybody saying you should have seen what it looked like before. So it used to be quite big, and, well, I think it got opened again by interaction with the tortured pride. What's happened now, I don't know. These lions move quite large distances, and all of the interaction that happens from them with them is very hard to document. Hello, Minamu. You want to have lions go into hiding to recover? I've never seen it. I've seen a lioness that's had her shoulder her whole left front leg shoulder broken or dislocated, I wasn't sure, and she was very, very slow and very difficult at moving. But she just hung around in a riverbed close to some water, and well, she managed to still somehow catch food. And her sister had some cubs and was quite close to her as well, and she managed to catch food as well, and that's what supplemented her. And next thing you knew, she was back up and running again. It was incredible. But normally if lions can't keep up, they get left behind, and I've never seen them deliberately go off somewhere to recover. If anything, they need to eat. They need the protein and the meals provided by the assistance of the pride to survive. And without that, well, you can be sure that they will decrease in sort of condition. And just from the footage I've seen, this looks to be the Talamati male. Am I right, Darby? He's quite a pretty boy. Or was that a lady? Very hard in this weather to actually see. Yeah, that's a young lady. My apologies. She is very pretty, though. Paula, that's a great question. In the saliva of lions, they've definitely got an antibiotic property there that enables it to heal. Whether they overlick an injury like dogs have been known to do, I'm not 100% sure. I think in lions, the wild nature of who they are, it allows them to lick and to clean. I think some dogs might actually get a little bit of a mental state, just through the fact that dogs have been bred for so many years. Imagine all dogs used to look like a wolf. Now we've got all these different shapes and sizes of dogs. I have no doubt that there are some sort of genetic things and some tics that they might have, and when they get an injury they just can't stop doing it. I think it's just an instinct for them to lick, and maybe they get a little bit of a tick behind it, and that's what causes them to go a little bit crazy. But I've never seen lions over licking anything. If anything, it's the Mangeni males with their mange would have over scratched themselves due to the incredible itchiness which is associated with their condition. But it's all about also where is the injury and where is the wound that requires licking. Hello, Lee. I actually have no idea. A mane is definitely something a male lion develops with condition. And if a male lion doesn't have strong condition, is not in a good space, not a good sort of state, then there's a good chance that he might be underdeveloped. His growth might be thwarted or delayed in some way until condition is there. In the two males on the left there, the one is, I'm pretty sure, the Mangeli male by his hip sticking out. I don't think he's in the best of condition, that one there, but this one not in the best of condition there for a young male. And see the hip and sort of the, it's all just sticking out there, but the fur seems to be back again. But a mane will definitely develop in a male lion due to genetics and also the development of testosterone as they start to fight and get a little bit more sort of aggressive with each other, and that is a natural state. I don't think mange would stop it entirely, but if they don't have the condition to be able to come into a mane, then they might be very, very well delayed. But it'd be interesting to see if their fur is growing back around the body. Well, it seems to be around the face as well. But I'm not 100% sure how old the two Mangeni males are. Very hard to tell as well when they're not in the best of condition. But for now, we have got some flat cats apart from the one female who is alert. Hopefully she will instigate the pride to maybe move and catch something, because wouldn't that be a marvelous way? Because I am heading off on leave after this drive today for about a week, so wouldn't it be wonderful to see a lion hunt in the new year just before heading out? Well, the Unkuhumas have graced us in the new year, day 2 of 2019. What a marvelous way to start the year after David's leopards yesterday, and well, today he's got some elephants.
Very good, Steve. I think you've started your new year with some lions, because I don't think anybody saw lions in Juma. You are the first one to see lions in Juma 2019, and very well done. On my way to the Sausage Republic, I found this very hungry herd of ellis, and you can tell they're hungry because they are all down and either getting the grass or any plants they can reach for themselves for breakfast. And this is the Mara Triangle in Kenya, for those of you who could be joining us now. And remember, we come to you live every day in the morning and in the afternoon. In the background there, you'll see the very famous Olololo escarpment, and that's part of what forms the Mara Triangle. When we say triangle, is a game reserve that has 3 boundaries, and that is one of them. And anybody who might have watched the movie Out of Africa must have seen that. Now I'm looking at this herd here, could be about 10, 12 of them, and we know they are always led by a female, and the female that could be most likely either large in size, but more so than anything else, the oldest female in the herd. Definitely not cow, is very experienced. Kalsik, a happy new year again, and good morning. Is it good morning, Kalsik? Yes, Kalsik, I'm sure you know the last few weeks we have been having lots of rain here, and I want to believe the rains have cleaned these ellies nicely, and because they have a lot of water all over, they are not doing a lot of mud wallowing, Kalsik, as you know elephants once in a while will do, so they have remained clean. And I'm sure, Kalsik, you know the tusks are part of their canine teeth, so it's a little modified. And yes, because of the rains, everything looks clean. Actually, as soon as we started getting rains, all the ellies were looking different. They were looking black in color than the normal. Yeah, we got 2 there. I'm not sure they are cuddling at the very back there. And we got very good eyes. And you never know, is it a boy and a girl? Is it a boy and a boy? Is it a girl and a girl? But there's a bit of a candle going on there, and you're going to be finding out. Always very difficult to know if it's a male and a female from a distance, and looking them at when not close is very, you know, you can't tell by looking at their genitalia until maybe you look at the shapes of their forehead. But now, are you part of the tree? Were you cuddling with the other elephant or the tree? What are you exactly doing there? Are you having a little scratch there? Maybe. How cute is that? Moshi, you'd like to know, can elephants shiver when it gets cold? I have no very good answer for you there, Moshi, and Happy New Year also. But I think I highly doubt what they may do. You have noticed, Moshi, ellies, when it gets very warm, they keep flapping their ears. What maybe they'll do when it gets very cold is to hold their ears against their body and try not to move a lot. But I have never seen an elephant shivering. I mean, their skins, I would say they're very thick, very solid, and I would highly doubt, not knowing it for a fact, but Moshi, I can always find out for you much later, but I would highly doubt. Most of these big pachyderms, I'm talking about ellies, I'm talking about rhinos, I'm talking about buffaloes, these very big animals or very big mammals, we have rarely seen them shiver. Animals I've seen shiver a little bit. Cats, and most of the little cubs, not even their dogs. So Moshi, I would highly doubt, but I can tell you for a fact, I might find out for you much later. And ladies and gentlemen, remember our drives are always very interactive, so any comments, questions, send them through. Donna, good morning. Happy New Year, Donna. And what age do they get their tusks? Anything 2.5 years is a good age to get tusks, and that tells me the one calf Donna you see back there, she's definitely. And you can see she's trying to here and there, of course, depending, Donna, on the genetics of the baby calf or the baby elephant, but in general 2.5 to get calves. Well, anytime we always come to you from the African wilderness, once in a while we get little breakups or little technical issues. We apologize if you had a break on your screen or you lost my mellow voice on the new year of 2019. We truly apologize, but it's quite some work for us to come from where we are in the African wilderness to your screens in your living rooms. So once in a while we'll have some more little technical hitches, but I think now we are good and enjoying this Family of Elephants 2019. I've always wondered, Snazi, I missed a question from Snazi M, and I've always wondered if these elephants will either tell the difference in days, weeks, months, or years. And Nazi, very good question. Which ones are more protective? And I would say definitely females. If I look at the one I see in front, she is definitely a cow. And as if you look at her carefully, they'll always try to keep their calves on either in the middle of the herd or on the other side, what we call the blind side. So they want to expose themselves to the strangers or to any other animal they cannot understand, including myself. So now, as I would say, in general, the cows are more protective than the bulls. They have all those motherly instinct, like, just our mothers, where the mothers are always more reactive should anything quickly go wrong to their babies. And that Nazi is also to all the other animals out here, buffaloes or the cats, look at the lionesses, always very close to their cubs. So I would say the females are more protective than the males. And currently, looking at the elephants, the males will always be around only when they're mating. And once mating's gone or is done, especially the fully grown males, out they go. What will happen is, should you see other males within the herds, there'll be the youngsters with their mothers, and once they get a right age to go and get a wife or get a job, they're always shown the door by the matriarch, which definitely helps to avoid any inbreeding of some sort. Very clever animals, Eliza. So if you look at that big cow there, she keeps keeping an eye to that young one. So very good morning, and I think I may have to proceed to my Sausage Republic destination, and as I do that, we'll take you back to Vovo with his lions.
Thank you, Gigi. Well, we are still here with these flat unkuhumas. There is the one Mangani male. You can see he's not in the best condition. Hips are out, but he was looking in much worse condition not so long ago. So if anything, he is improving. I don't know how you cure mange. There are ways through veterinary practice of curing it, but how a wild lion cures mange is completely beyond me. Possibly some soils that they can roll in. I know that there's something called a diatomaceous earth, which is basically an inland sea that accumulated diatoms, which is a 2-atom sort of organism accumulated on the bottom of the sort of lake bed or seabed. And that soil now is used all over the world for feeding animals, for rubbing on the skin, and in the vet trade. And what it does is it cleans out external and internal parasites very, very easily. It was found by a farmer who was sending many of his cattle to an abattoir on a regular basis, obviously for the whole production of meat. And at one stage, the abattoir came to him and said, "What are you doing with your cattle?" And the guy was completely surprised. He said, "I'm not doing anything." And, well, they said, "Well, your cattle arrive here and they have got no parasites, internal or external," which is completely unique on the stage of abattoirs, on the stage of cattle coming in. And so what he did, he started observing, and there was areas on his property that the cattle were rolling in and lying in. And, well, then they figured out that this diatomaceous earth was a reality, and it is now marketed across the world. So those of you out there who have dogs and cats, and if you have some issues with them, you want a nice organic natural remedy for curing all sorts of ailments to the skin and to their body, you can just put a little bit of it in their food, and, well, by eating it actually sorts out the insides. You can also bath them with it, rubbing it into the fur, and, well, that often will cure all sorts of ailments on the skin as well. But I don't know of any diatomaceous earth in Djuma, but if there is some, I'm going to be finding it, because it sounds like a nice little business. Hey, Darby? But for now, you can probably hear the pitter-patter of the rain falling down, and that, it looks like Amber Eyes to me, ladies and gentlemen, who seems like she might have returned from her soiree in the east, as ladylike as she always can be. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is Amber Eyes with those beautiful dark auburn copper eyes, and the look that she always gives us is always a unique one. Well, they are loving the rain. nothing for them to do but to sit and wait it out, and hopefully the temperature will be cool enough for them to move. Child of the universe, I think the coolest animal after rain is a rhino, because of the noise that they make when they're walking around, the tracks that they leave behind, the draggings that they do. They get very, very sort of uppity when they're scent marking, and they will defecate and they'll kick their dung, and it's quite a process, kicking their dung, a very vigorous stiff leg. And then when they scent mark, as they move along, they drag their back legs through the vegetation, spraying this high pressure hose like spray behind them, and they cover vast distances, and they seem to enjoy the rain as well. So I quite enjoy watching rhino do that. But honey badgers and mongooses, they are known to use an anal gland, and sometimes mongooses will actually even do a handstand against a pole or against a blade of grass. A handstand is they wipe their anal sac in a handstand motion against whatever branch or stick that they're choosing to do. And it does look rather funny, handstanding mongooses. You think that they've learnt some form of trick. And apparently honey badgers are able to do a similar sort of thing, but I've never seen honey badgers scent marking. Well, the rain is certainly settling in. This is the kind of rain that we are really looking for. If this rain, nice, soft, sort of soaking rain that goes in and it benefits the grass layer. It's not a huge runoff amount of rain that hits the drainage systems and runs off and goes downstream. It pitter-patters down and just hits the grass and just soaks into the soil. This is the kind of rain that if it goes on for a day, 2 days, really, really will influence and bring back life to the ground layer that we are so desperately looking for. Sometimes, though, you will find lions moving in the rain, and sometimes you will find them doing absolutely nothing. So we can just hold our thumbs and hope that the Nkuhuma pride decides to get up and to go and hunt something, but not the baby wildebeest. Let's not. Hello, Sky. I have not seen the Mangens before today, and I haven't seen the Nkuhumas since September. Davy, have you seen them feeding together? I wonder if Emma and FC can tell me what she's seen. I mean, you've been around the last few months. What I know is that I think the Mangens have been following the Nkuhumas and trying to pick up some scraps. I don't think they're allowed to feed with them, but I don't know. Okay, so Emma agrees she's only seen them following them, walking behind. I don't think they would be allowed to come in and eat. And that's why that individual is in such poor condition. He probably ends up picking up some scraps at the end, a few bones. You know, the Talamati male has been accepted into the pride. If anything, the Mangens have been hanging around on the outskirts and not allowed in. So whatever it is that they feed on is really beyond me. But I don't see the Nkuhumas tolerating them getting close to their kills, tolerating them being close to the proximity of where they are, but otherwise he wouldn't be here. But that contagious skin irritation is potentially transferred to the Nkuhumas if he gets involved with them. So hopefully he remains on the outskirts. And well, look at his condition. He's in very bad condition. Anna Marie, it's exactly the same story as the feeding. First of all, this male is not in very good condition, and he's a youngster, so they don't do very well at hunting in the first place. So he will basically just follow them all the time, as what young males generally do. They sit at the back and watch and wait for the food to be provided for them, and then they'll run in and dominate. But the domination requires some strength, and if he's not welcome in the pride, well, I think he might catch a little bit of a hiding. So, Texan from Voyatela has joined us in the sighting, and he's moving out now. He just looked at me and said, our roof is a very good idea. They're going to go get one themselves, because it's this sort of just soaking, drenching rain that just gets into everything. And if you're wearing a poncho, well, a poncho does assist in keeping you dry, but when it starts soaking in, it just really, really gets into everything. And I know he's with some guests that are here for a little while, and that's all about photography. So I need a roof, camera equipment. Well, as you know, we need to wear a roof so we can keep our stuff dry. Teresa, that's a really good question. This Talamati male that became part of the pride, to me, is quite a unique story. I've never seen that happen before. I mean, it's quite common practice for prides to split up and to move off and to divide into two. It's also common practice for young males to meet each other away from the pride and form a coalition. But I've never seen a young male come from another pride and be accepted into a pride. I find that very, very interesting. I mean, I know there was some really interesting dynamics up in with the Sausage Tree Pride, with Kapuli and the Sausage Tree Pride males. I mean, ideally he wants a coalition, and he found it in Sons of the Sausage Tree Pride. So how these things work I find fascinating, and you can read as much as you want to about lions, and well, they'll just up and surprise you the next time you see them. So I've never seen anything like this before with the Talamati male. Apparently they are related. At one point the Talamatis and the Nkuhumas were probably one. But still, that doesn't mean that they will accept a male through. But it is going to benefit their young male because, well, on his own, there's not much of a chance of him demarcating a territory or securing a pride. But with a friend, a combatant in arms, he'll have a much better opportunity to do so. But I haven't seen the Talamati male yet amongst these animals. We might have to move again and reposition. We do have only a couple of them out in the open. Definitely the Mangeni male there. Wow. Okay, so Michael Fleetwood has got some information that the Nkuhumas were seen feeding on a giraffe with the Mangeni males. So that is an interesting observation, Michael. And, well, when you're on a big kill like that, a large carcass like that, it's possible that other lions can co-feed. It's not always very well accepted. For example, the giraffe is quite big, so as they sort of separate themselves, you probably would have found the Mangeni males on one side of it and the rest of the pride on the other. I've seen that before with what I thought was 8 males of the mountain pride were all feeding on the same carcass. But when I got there, I found 8, but 6 were on one side and 2 were on the other side. And there was just something about the behavior that I wasn't too sure about until the 6 chased the 2. And then I realized that the 2 were actually nomadic males from somewhere else. But they'd been allowed to co-feed on that giraffe carcass for a very long time. And when I confirmed it with the other guides who'd been in the sighting earlier, there were only 6 males before. So on a big carcass, co-feeding can happen just due to the amount of food. But a smaller animal like a zebra, well, there's not enough space around the zebra for the entire Nkuhuma pride. I doubt you'd find the Manganis feeding in that. But on a big kill like a giraffe, you probably find the Mangeni males feeding around the neck or head area or down by the legs, but as far away from the rest of the pride as they can on the carcass. But who knows what happens in the darkness with this pride? Who knows? If we don't follow them enough or spend enough time with them, anything could happen. And, well, isn't that the mystery that we love so much? But anyway, it seems like David is watching the sun rise in the east, and no doubt it is a spectacular view.
Yes, Steve, I'm just dreaming here, watching the horizon and maybe not even thinking about your lions, because I have the most gorgeous sunrise. Much better than yesterday. I had one fantastic one yesterday, but I think this one has beaten what I had yesterday. This is just... Maybe I'm at a different angle, and the sun decided to bring more better colors than yesterday. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's our eastern horizon. And this is what I call a lovely morning. And I could not ask for anything better from the African wilderness on this new year. It's just what looks like a painting for me. And all those trees you see there are the very iconic trees of the Mara Triangle that we call the torchwood trees. Always very solid. A little different from what we call the sausage trees. the pride of lions that I'm going to look for today. We have given it a name, and we call it the sausage tree pride, because they love climbing trees that are called the sausages or sausage trees. These ones are more single trunks. So those ones could have a single trunk, of course, that is branched right at the base, and they're much wider than what you see there. See all those beautiful colors. Anna Marie, happy New Year. Always very good to hear your name like butterscotch. It looks like a great comment. I agree with you. And maybe I'll be asking all our wonderful viewers to just let us know what they think of that sunrise on the second day of the New Year. Because to me, I think it is just gorgeous. Either yesterday, I got one comment from a viewer who told me it was like tangerine, and I thought that was pretty sweet to hear. I'll be more than happy. Then another viewer, oh, was it that me? I said orangey. When I had tangerine, I said orangey, and I'm looking at all the peach colors there, or the black, or the yellows, or the goldens, or the honeys. I'm not sure what color I'm talking about when I say honey color, but any beautiful color you'd think of, it's there. And you might even mistake that to be a painting. But it's a glorious morning, and this is what I've been calling the last few weeks my golden moments. How nice. So that's our eastern horizon, and I'm sure all of you have enjoyed it. I'll give you 5 more seconds before I move on to look for my lions. I'm a bit jealous of Steve because he got lions before me. So another 5-10 seconds, and then we're gonna say vámonos. So that is the savannah, and this makes one big difference between us and Juma in South Africa, because we don't have as many or as much thickets of trees here. We've got huge open areas that you can see the sun right from here on such a low elevation. Can you say serene? Thank you very much. Serene is a great description of that sunset. And I would also say serene may take me also to say peaceful, because it gives you lots of peace of mind, you know, Colleen, to see that. Yes, that's very serene to watch in the morning of almost getting to the second day of the new year. So saying earlier, we have lots of savanna, a lot of open grassland like this. And when you can see the sunrise like on this level in my eyes, so you said it's like honey. Thank you very much. It is like honey, and I'm not sure where you come from. You got different colors of honey, because in Africa here, depending on the area you are, there's some honey that is like golden, some is brownish, some is light, some have a little yellowish color. But honey is a very description of that, and who would not like honey? Here in Africa, honey is very big for us. And sometimes we just go out there in the bushes, and if you bump into a beehive and the bees are not very active, you just open it and you scoop some and just lick it. Or if there are no beehives, we got some very huge trees that are hollow, and there are bees that always be making some honey there, and we go with small little sticks and we harvest a bit of it, and that has kept us here in Africa going for very many years. And we have always thought honey is like medicine, you know. So back in the village I come from, we just walked. Indigo girl, relations, Indigo girl, you say? Exactly. Thank you very much, Indigo girl, and to hear your name and to say or to know you are with us again this morning. Thank you very much, which I might say asante sana. So Indigo girl, today I am going to find out how the sausage pride is doing. I never saw them yesterday, but I don't know whether you were with me when I was seeing the one male and the 2 leopards that were mating. So today I want to go back to the same area and find out the one female that is missing, what could be happening at the moment. Who knows, it could be anything. But I know she is very, very close, if she has not gotten her cubs by now. Perfect light he got, and I can see very clearly. With all the green, should the lions stand up with the brown, they'll definitely be standing out, and I'll be able to see them. Well, my friend Sydney, what's your latest update?
I am now driving by the cheetah cut line. I just want to see if we don't have the buffaloes in the property yet, as I know that the Unkuhumas are mostly attracted by the big heads of buffaloes. So I'm going to check the cheetah cut line all the way down to the Buffalo's Hook cut line and come back via Tela access. I want to see if we don't have these big animals in the property. So maybe it has been a while indeed, and I'm hoping to find the buffaloes around here. As I know, those Unkuhumas, they must be motivated by the presence of the buffaloes here. And I saw that a few days ago, the buffaloes were in the property and they slept in one of the areas and moved on a day after that. So these buffaloes, they do come at night and leave before the sunrise. So we might also be lucky with any of the leopards. Carol, the cats, we might be lucky because here where I'm heading, there's quite a lot of cats going in and out. Cheetah cut line, Tandy and Kalamba, they always cross here. Buffalo's Hook cut line, Avokas, they always cross there. And some of the lions, which belongs to the new prize that was introduced to us a few days ago. So we might also see maybe Tingana in the area. As Tingana, we heard him sowing by the dam camp yesterday morning. So now let's quickly go back to Steve by the Viotella pad.
Thank you, sitters. Well, good luck finding some buffalo. I haven't seen some around here in some time. I had some tracks not long ago in the area here, heading back north. But you are right, these lions do like to follow the buffalo. But for now, they are counting buffalo calves in their sleep. We really are expecting a little bit of something because it is really nice and cool. It's beautiful conditions to be moving around. Here we have got one that's just got up on the right, is moving. Probably going to come into frame in a second after she rubs her face. Obviously, we have positioned ourselves to see some of the lions, and then the only one we couldn't see has now moved. I'll move around a bit there, Darby. This is the way it works. Hello, Tracy. You want to know where the dominant male is? Well, they're probably in the north. The evoker males seem to have moved into the area, and they've taken residence sort of here and to the north, and we had a couple of them, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Sydney had the two evoker males. There we go. The two evoker males, and while there are three of them, they moved in from the north. The Birmingham boys, who are the fathers of probably most of the young ones that are in the pride, they have gone on a long extended holiday down south to the center of the Sabi Sands, the southern Sabi Sands, around Mala Londolozi area, where they found prime real estate, and well, they have not since returned. So the evokers seemingly are what we would call the dominant male, although there are none of their cubs in this pride. So these young males that are within the pride are at serious risk of being beaten and even killed by the dominance of the evokers, because any young male is a threat to the dominant males or to the evokers' potential reign within the area. So the dynamics of lion prides really is not as cut and dry as we all think. And well, I've seen males in a pride, the pride moving and keeping away from new males for a very long time, so as to obviously keep them alive. You'll often find, and we saw it with unkuhumas earlier this year, whenever you heard the males calling, so the evoker males calling, the whole pride would just get up and walk in the opposite direction. And I've seen that time and time again in the past. Obviously, the lionesses want to keep the young males with them for a period of time, and it's sort of that motherly instinct to do so. But eventually, the brawn and the size of the young males becomes a little bit difficult at feeding time. And, well, then they're quite happy for them to move off, as they can then get more food for themselves. But so the evoker males are trying to stamp their authority on all the prides up here in the northern sands, and that's probably where the young Telemati male come from. He was pushed out of that pride due to the presence of the evokers around his natal pride, and so he moved off in search of comfort and found his relatives, the unkuhumas. So I find in the Mara we often find male lions with a pride much more than we do down here. Costa, the largest pride I've ever seen is 24. 24 lions. I mean, that's a very, very big number, and that was in the Kruger Park. They did split up, though, shortly after that, and suddenly they got down to 18 as a few of the lionesses moved off, and they formed a splinter pride sort of south of the other pride, who was spending more time in the north. But I think at one stage the pride had 16 youngsters, which is really interesting. 9 males and 7 females, if I'm not mistaken, and all of them survived except for one young male. At one point he was killed. But that recruitment of lions is incredible. I mean, we're seeing the Sausage Tree Pride now trying to grow with their 3 little youngsters. And we see the Owino Pride with their 2 youngsters still there. And, well, this pride here has had an unsuccessful year of rearing any cubs or bringing any to term. Obviously, the young cubs earlier in the year and last year succumbed to white muscle disease. And that last remaining cub, we don't know what happened to it, but it didn't survive. It was there one day, and the next day it was not. So what goes on behind the curtain of the darkness out here is really hard to say. Red, not that I know of. No cases that I know of, but I think it's quite difficult to see it in an adult. The youngsters obviously are much more susceptible to being obviously it's detrimental to their health. It's not something I'd come across before seeing it here. So maybe it's something that is more prevalent or more obvious in cubs. But we'd expect them after the dry season to be looking in really, really good condition. But it might also be the fact that the Mangeni males are nearby. There probably is a little bit of mange transference that is happening. Maybe it's just the fact that they're looking a little bit wet and their fur is looking a little bit unkept for the moment. I don't know. But we're going to give these guys another 15 to 20 minutes, and if they don't do anything, we might reevaluate our plan for the morning. What do you think, Davy? Maybe go and find that leopard that was seen not long before the unkuhumas materialized here. But the one female in the bush just to the right, just out of frame, has got her head up. And, well, she might, I think we've got a good chance of them getting up. There we go. It looks like amber eyes. Getting up and going straight up the hill to quarantine, where they will find themselves a meal. But who knows what could happen, folks. Remember, this is all 100% live, and anything could happen. They could suddenly get up and get mobile, or they could spend the next entire day just sleeping right here. We're hoping for some action. Well, my last a little bit of a stint before going on a small leave cycle. Okay. Well, we're going to stay here with these lions, try and maybe get a better position. Hopefully they're going to jump up and do something exciting, or maybe they'll remain in a Leonian slumber. But in the meantime, David is almost at the Sausage Tree Pride Republic.
Finally, I got into the Sausage Republic. So what I'm doing now is just to drive very slowly. I'm either going to see a little swing over tail or a head moving or a lettuce cab jumping up and down. So this is the particular area they have lived for a very long time. And there was one particular week we couldn't come here because of the rains, and we missed them completely when we started to come. And again, may I apologize for your technical hitches. And as I said earlier, for us to come from where we are to bring you these wonderful sightings is not easy. There are a lot of links we go through, and should one of them have a little issue, we'll have a break up. But I think now we're good and running. Anyhow, so that one particular week, we didn't see them as much as it was very muddy and soil chemistry of the Mara, as you can see, black soil. Apparently, this actual spot here where I am now, I was stuck for about half an hour, and luckily we got pretty good vehicles, four-wheel drive, so you go to low ratio, high ratio, and then you go forwards, you go backwards, and it was like at night, almost 8 o'clock at night, but finally, it came out. So when we came back and found, the sausages again, they were still in the same area here, and that's exactly where I expect them to be. So yesterday, around that area, I saw one of the males, and let me see what I've seen. But I did not see any females. The process of looking for the females is when I saw the two leopards that were mating, and I thought that was very special to see that on the new year. Apparently, a friend of mine told me when those leopards were mating, it was midnight in North America, so they're just mating on the new year. Child of the universe, some prize better than others. I think they're just the same across the board. But you might notice the prides that are always very close to prey. We got areas like where we are now. I doubt, child of the universe, you're going to see another wildebeest in this area for the next couple of months, maybe for the next 6 months. But there are particular areas in the Mara, and also the other side of the Mara, where we say we got wildebeest that are permanent migrants. They don't go very far. Even if they migrate, it's always just a few kilometers or so, then they come back. So the price of lions in that particular area are always guaranteed of food. Now, child of the universe, the biggest mortality of lion cubs caused by hunger. That's what kills most lion cubs more than anything else. So if the sausages here, for example, they will not be very successful to keep hunting and getting enough to nurse their cubs or to hunt for their cubs which cannot hunt as yet, chances are they might die. So those are some of the factors that we look, and hunger is the biggest killer of lion cubs. So prides that will always have easier accessibility of prey, be it wildebeest, be it toppies, be it giraffes, they tend to be better mothers to raise their cubs to maturity. Of course, other challenges that face lion cubs are diseases and maybe other predators like either hyenas or leopards. So we'll see how well the sausages are going to do. So currently they got 3 cubs. There are 2 cubs. Because now you're talking about pregnancy of the female. We have seen lionesses mating at the same time, because currently now, in this particular pride I'm talking about, there are 2 females, one called the kingtail that's pregnant, and one other female. And you've seen cubs coming almost at the same time or at a gap of about 2 weeks, at most a month. Now, the two females here, one we call her Limpy because she limps a little bit, and she got one cub which is about 3 months, and then there's another female that got 2 cubs which are about 4 months, which would translate they almost mated at the same time. So that happens a lot. You'd see lions or lionesses having synchronized mating, and also that explains why many times you have seen lions having allo sucking, or you'll see lions being sucked by different cubs which they have not had themselves biologically. So that is a possibility. So I keep stopping, looking on anything brown standing out in the green grass, which could be what I am looking for. Yeah, lionesses or have a lot of synchronized behavior in them. You might get 2 pairs or 2 couples mating at the same time, one male and a female, and just next door another male and female mating at the same time. Because should they conceive at the same time, definitely those cubs will come more or less at the same given period. With the current cubs now, they are only maybe 3 weeks or about 1 month apart, I would guess, in age. So Limpy, just going back to the question of the child of the universe, Limpy had 2 cubs initially. And on about a month later or so, she had 1 cub. And nobody knew what happened. Hoping she would show up. And definitely that time around, child of the universe lost. So many zebras around this area. There's no reason of saying it could have been hunger. It could have been anything. And you look around, but in the meantime, I'll take you back to Stivovo.
Welcome back to Djuma, ladies and gentlemen, where the rain is really settling in around us. The Nkuhumas are digging themselves in and covering themselves as much as possible. I do apologize about any signal issues you might have been experiencing with David up in the Mara. You can probably hear the rain on our roof. As I said before, lions in this weather quite often will just sort of batten down the hatches, as you were, cover themselves up and try and not get as wet as they possibly can. Nice big female there with her head up. That is a positive sign. A very positive sign. Are you going to get up and show us where to go? Trying to see which one of the lionesses that with the missing eye or the damaged eye, purple eye she was called, or I can't remember what the other name Nikki had for her. I haven't yet seen her. It's amazing though how lions can change over a few months due to the fighting that goes on at mealtime. All the different scratches and scars. Hello, Aegis. You want to know where the Styx Pride is? I don't know. The Styx, most of the time that I've been here this last year, I only ever saw them once on our very southern boundary, and then I saw them another time on Chitwa. So they seem to move in a much sort of more southerly region than where we are now. And the Nkuhuma Pride is much more sort of commonplace on Djuma when there are lions about. This seems to be one of their prime areas, but they also move north of us and east and west. So the dynamics of the lion prides out in the western or northern Sabi Sands is really an interesting one, because obviously a lot of the properties are small enough to sort of have one lion pride covering 3 or 4 of them quite easily, but also the movement of those lions across those properties is also determined by food, the availability of food, the movement of the animals, as the lions will move in search of food regardless of territory. They will go into another lion's territory to feed before coming back again. But I don't know where the sticks are. I think down southeast from where we are. They also will range a little bit further, as prey availability this time of year is not as localized. As you recall, in the dry season, animals spend a lot of time just around the watering holes because it's much easier to catch food that way. But with the thickness and the greening of everything, the animals are very well spread out, and so the lions have to work extra hard to be able to find them. The Torchwood Pride was seen in Torchwood in the east not so long ago, and they range all the way into the Kruger and to the north. The Nkuhumas seem to range into Torchwood as well as Buffelshoek, and then down into the sort of western sides, Arathusa, Simbambili. But they were seen down in the Londolozi area not long ago, which is pretty far away. Maybe they were going down there to take the kids on a visit to see dads, Dad 1, 2, 3. Go and say hello to the Birmingham boys who have well entrenched themselves down there. When will they be back? Will they be back? There's a serious void up here in the north of male lions. Hello, Double Dash. Lion prides most certainly do have territorial disputes with other prides. They'll often try and avoid them if they can. That's what scent marking and calling does. Is a scent marking obviously determines the boundary, and by calling, so for example, if I'm over here and I shout and Dave is over there, he can hear me, he knows I'm here and he will avoid my presence. Obviously they don't want to confront each other, and if a lion pride finds itself in the territory of another, it will not call, will not scent mark, it will just sneakily eat what they have and then go back again into their territory and call again. Ideally the calling is to separate them out in space so that they know, okay, sort of keeping each other at arm's length, if you will, but a little bit further than arm's length, of course. But by calling, you can avoid confrontation. But every now and again, a pride will come across another pride, and well, they don't take too nicely to that at all. And there will be some confrontation. And earlier this year, it was actually viewed up in the Buffelshoek area where the Nkuhumas and Torchwood had a little bit of a scrap. Nothing really too serious, but when lions are a little bit angry with each other, it always sounds far worse than it really is. Even when they're at feeding time, it sounds incredibly violent, but that is what part and parcel of being a lion is. All of these moments you spend with them relaxing, sleeping, is the general state of lions, but whenever there's food or competition around, their behavior. Well, that's interesting. Apparently the dam cam is showing the Mangane male with porcupine quills. He's just over here. Let me reposition. If it's the same lion we're looking at. Can I go back there, Doggy? I'll go this way around. Let's get out here, see what he's doing. The Mangane male. Oh, there's some very brave Franklin over here. You know, there's a pride of lions just behind you. Well, let's go and have a look. I didn't see any porcupine quills in the Mangane male before, but he was rather flat. But when you are in the condition that Mangane male is in, you will eat whatever comes your way, even if it's got spines and all sorts of interesting developments on them. I've seen lions eat porcupine before. It is definitely a challenge to catch a porcupine, especially if you are the first predator to attempt that specific porcupine. But often you'll find a porcupine that has been attacked and has probably survived, but has lost a lot of his quills due to the fact that, well, they're stuck in the animal that tried to eat it. And then the second lion or leopard comes along, and a lot of those really dangerous quills at the back are dislodged in another animal, and well, it makes it a little bit easier. There's definitely a technique behind it. So the dam cam's looking at this male, are they? Let's have a look at see what exactly. Oh, he's got porcupines in his feet. Is that a porcupine quill? Oh, something there could potentially be thought to be a porcupine quill, but I don't think it is actually. Oh, it is. Wow. The back of his legs. That doesn't look very nice. So well done, dam cam. strike 2 for the dam cam this morning. We hadn't seen that from our position before. Only seems to be one quill. I saw a male lion once catch a porcupine. I was quite excited to find the porcupine, and I was showing it to my guests, and we were like, wow, look at the porcupine. He did look a little bit disheveled and like he was missing some quills. Oh, there, he got that one out. There we go. And so the porcupine was walking down the road in front of us. The next thing, this young male lion, pretty much the same age as this guy here, came out of nowhere and decided he was going to try and kill this porcupine. And so he went for it, and the porcupine backed up against a little puddle of mud, a little water hole, and sort of looked at turned its head and was sort of facing its backside with all the quills towards the lion, and was stamping its feet, and they were rattling and sounding quite ominous. And so that male lion was a little bit unsure. And then that male lion's brother came along, and he knew exactly what to do. He looked at the porcupine, he basically flattened him on the back with his paw and gripped him on the back of the neck, and well, that was that for the porcupine. He did have a few quills stuck in his face, but as he started eating, those quills just slowly dislodged themselves and fell out of his face. It was quite something. Didn't share it with anyone else. It was very rude. Okay, so Jamie says there's also one stuck in the front. You're obviously looking from a different angle to us, but oh, shame. Look at this boy's legs. Those legs, the fur, that must be so uncomfortable. Is he trying to get another one? Busy biting himself. It looks very itchy. It looks very uncomfortable. But, I mean, considering the footage I've seen, he is looking in a much better condition. Okay, well, come on, stand up. Show us your porcupine quill. Oh, there we go. One right in the chest. Right in the chest. Doesn't look very painful. But, here we go. He's going to go and join the rest of the lions. Let's see how they respond to him, because I believe they don't like him very much. Oh, sorry. When it gets wet, my fan belt spins a little bit. Okay, so I don't think he's going to get too close. I think he's going to want to get close. But there's one of the lionesses is watching him going, hey, you better watch yourself, young boy. Let's see what happens here. Okay, because if he's not tolerated, he's not going to get too close. But he's even walking so weirdly. He is not in a good state. He's not at all in a good state. So I don't see him. Oh, anyway, very, very hard for him to hunt on his own. He's probably scavenging off the unkuhumas and feeding on whatever scraps he can get. There we go. He's gotten much closer than I thought he would be allowed to. Okay, well, the lions are not a species that I've always found enjoying the rain, but Sydney is with an animal that absolutely loves it when it's wet.
You can see the elephants are enjoying a natural shower at the moment. This is quite a small herd. It has got quite a lot of big elephants here, and also the small ones are here. So these elephants are so very much relaxed, and you can see they're starting to get wet right on top. Elephants don't mind rain, and what I have seen is that when it's raining like this, elephants got fascinated, and some of them do even visit the water holes and go for swimming purposes. So they do sometimes go out to enjoy themselves. One of them has got a broken ear. You can see that one there, the ear is broken. Oh, there's a baby. The one with the baby, the right ear is broken. So the baby is so very small because she can be able to pass as the mother is speaking. Oh, look at that. The little one is right underneath. This is quite a beautiful sighting. Look at the baby, it's going to come out now. So behind the baby's mom, there is an elephant with a very short trunk. so short. The one that is eating now has got a very, very short trunk. Look at that. Yeah, that trunk is just like, it's not long. So the other ones can have a trunk which can go up to 6 meters. Maybe something happened to the trunk, or maybe he or she was born like this. So the elephants, they need quite a lot of food maintenance. Call 6, the baby is using the mom as an umbrella. I strongly agree. I saw that the baby was every time going underneath the bellies of the mother as they were walking. Jojo, you can see short trunk is part of this small head here, and this small head is today is the first time I have noticed that there is a short trunk there. I haven't seen that elephant before. This is my first time. So I can see that now this sighting is disappearing. I will have to move further and carry on and see if we can find something interesting as they are now moving from Buffelshoek to Vuyatela, to the side of Vuyatela Juma Game Reserve. So you can see that it is not quite a lot of rain. David, the elephant tusk, unfortunately, if it breaks off from the inside, then it's a challenge. It cannot regrow. But remember, the elephant, the tusks, they keep growing. So if it's broken somewhere outside, as the elephant is aging, it means the part of the tusk which will be growing, it will be the part, you won't notice much of a difference. Look at that now. So the elephants, all they want is just respect. Normally, they don't like engines making a lot of noise. Like now, you can see he's feeding right here now. I don't want to surprise him. I just want to let him feed and then he will carry on. So you can see that he is really enjoying himself. Animals are so very much inquisitive. Every time they investigate, can see it looks like he's wearing brown socks. I think him and Senzo will get along because Senzo and socks, they get along too much. They are too plain for Senzo, this elephant, the socks. Senzo likes different colors. So you can see now that the elephant is moving, following the others. So we're going to leave these elephants now and carry on going down much more towards the Sydney's dams. Let's see what we are going to find next. Maybe it's going to be a cat. So now let's cross over back to David by the Masai Mara.
Well, welcome back to the Mara, and my luck have not struck yet. Lady Luck hasn't come to my face yet, but I am right at the heart of the Sausage Republic. What I'm picking more here, either we had some more showers, we had showers here than they come, because I want to just stop here and show you the dew on the grass if we pan round It seems there's a lot of dew on the grass. Not sure, we had some showers last night, and it makes it still look very beautiful. And this would prevent maybe the source-deployed gas bringing the 3 cabs out, because it looks pretty wet. And wherever they might have, dammed last night, where you see all the amount of grass, the amount of dew there on the grass, which makes it to me very beautiful. And I'm trying to imagine those small little bundles of joy walking through this tall and wet grass. The mothers might like, no, you stay, wait until it dries up for us to come out. As much as, once in a while they would come out. Look at that. And that reminds me of a proper rainy season. But apparently this is going to the 2nd week now without any rain. Under normal days, when it's dry and not wet, you see lions bedding on this kind of grass. So what we need to do is to keep moving and maybe stay close to the lager where it's dry and where we have better chances of spotting these lions. But this is their turf. This is the area they play, and I would say 9 out of 10 times I've been here, I've always gotten them. Not one time, well, I've missed them. There are occasions like when we had the big rains or the short rains, which turned out to be very heavy. We couldn't access this area, or if we could, we had to be very careful not to get stuck. So I'm very hopeful something gonna happen. I haven't seen any other truck or vehicle around this area, so it's all me and me alone. If we are lucky, or me and Archie, we shall be enjoying those cats on ourselves. Now, as much as I said the migration is gone, we'll have buffaloes. Buffaloes do not migrate. Buffaloes will tend to remain in particular areas doing what? 15, 20 miles one way, the other way, depending on the grazing conditions or water conditions. So at least I know for a fact buffaloes are here. Taylor, you'd like to know what season is here. Now, in East Africa, we have what we call, say, summer all around the year. But that summer is broken by 2 rainy seasons, the long rains and the short rains. So let's say now we're in the season, Taylor, of the short rains. But the short rains have been pounding, Taylor, and they have been very heavy. And at one point, we thought the short rains were turning out to be the long rains. Now, long rains will always come around April, May, June, July there, and the short rains October, November, and sometimes we even had them for Christmas. But we found out now the last couple of years the weather pattern here, Tila, has been quite erratic, having rather extended long rains, having rather shorter rains, but very heavy. We do not know whether the short rains will continue now. I fear they might now have stopped until we get maybe the long rains in March or in April. Well, time will tell how it will be. Last night we had lots of lightning in the sky, which was being followed by thunderstorms, and we thought we'd get some rains. We didn't get a drop. But I've got a feeling this area must have had some showers last night. Yes, last night I'm sure Em was directing the drive yesterday and she saw the lightning from the sky. It looks like a movie theater, you know. It could be greyish, then it could be bright grey, and then the lightning would come. And it was super epic, as she says, and we enjoyed it. At one point we thought if the lightning would get very big, we would have switched our equipment, but we kept holding. Nothing happened. All right, I would expect to see a move of a cat in the dew or in the wet grass of the Mara Triangle Savannah at any one point. As I said, because of their colors, they should stand out very clearly. I don't have to use my binoculars to spot them. I should just see anything brown, tawny color, golden color just in the grass. Could be a bit still chilly maybe, as I said earlier, and they're still where they stayed last night in a den. And I see buffaloes running from a distance. But as I investigate why they could be running, let me take you to the gentleman who has lions.
Thanks, Gigi. Yes, the lightning storms up in the Mara can be quite spectacular. Well, we've moved on from our lions for now. There are other vehicles there with them, so they're going to watch the flat cats for a little while and will keep us updated if anything changes. But we thought let's just do a little spin around, see if we can find anything else moving in these cool conditions. Who knows, maybe we get one last look at the little chief before I go on leave. That should be nice. We know he likes to always just come and visit and say goodbye. So, not sure who was seen on the dam cam last night. There was definitely a leopard seen early this morning. He is very kind like that. He loves to come and say hello. So we just have a little look around. The rain wasn't really falling at that stage. So the tricky part is when it's been raining like this is the tracks of animals underneath the rain are quite difficult to age from a freshness point of view. But if he's walking on top of it now, sometimes you can actually make that out quite easily. So we're just going to do a little loop around. Pay attention to how, with this sort of rainfall, how it's going to really influence the vegetation. We've noticed how green it's gotten in the last week in the Mara because of the rains David has been experiencing. And well, if this sticks and we get this sort of light falling of rain all day long, there's a very good chance the grass will really bounce back, and well, that will encourage the herd of zebras to remain, the wildebeest as well, and we might even get some buffalo moving in. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Just in time to bring the ticks with them for the bushwalk sessions in January and February, which last year it was really fun with all the ticks. You know, you just get used to ticks when you bushwalk. Everyone's like, what do you do? You just got to get used to it. You're going to get them. You're going to itch. There's nothing too much to be done about it, but maybe putting on some repellent around your ankles. But when the grass grows, well, there's nothing you can really do because the ticks will inundate the landscape and, well, inundate your clothing. Getting a little bit of an itch there, Emma. Well, mange and ticks, they are part and parcel of what is out here to sort of affect animals' condition, to prevent them from being dominant. And if they do manage to get past a tick infestation and a mange outbreak, well, then they surely deserve to breed and bring in the next generation. Many tick-borne diseases out here that don't seemingly affect the predators too much. They just get past it because of the immunity they develop over many, many years of being out here. Obviously, those that are weak don't survive and they move away. And those that, well, move out of the population through death. And those who do manage to survive, well, they pass on that immunity down the way. It's kind of how when the first Western people came to Africa, they just dropped like flies because of the tropical diseases that were around. Many of the local people are quite adapted to surviving a lot of these local tropical diseases, and well, Westerners, well, huge fatalities in the initial stages of colonization. Carol, you want to know if there's any medicinal plants to sort of counteract tick bites? Well, I don't know of anything. There's some things, antihistamines. You can use the inside of the marula bark as a nice antihistamine. You can rub that on a tick bite. But I'll find you some wild basil in a moment, and that is a natural insect repellent. You can also accumulate the seeds of a marula, the nuts inside the kernel, and that you could use as an insect repellent as well. It's quite a laborious process, to be honest, to get it out of the marula, just to wipe on your skin. So the basil works really well. I'm sure I'll find you some in a moment. I've used it before in the past where I just soaked it in sort of a carrier oil and then just applied that to my skin. It was a very affordable way of making it, and there's no spray, no chemicals. And when the plant is growing, grows in quite abundance. It is an annual, which means it only comes back for the wet season, and then slowly after producing some seed, it fades away. But you can just take the plant itself and rub it on, but I found it quite sustainable to cut the plant and to put it into some carrier oil and then apply it at your leisure. Carrier oil just almost being like a massage oil. I will find you some, I am pretty sure, but in the meantime, let's go see if Sid has managed to stay with sock-clad elephants.
I've just gone past the Sandy Patch area, Sydney's Dam area, and there are no tracks at all. Now I am heading towards much more to the eastern side, and I will be covering the areas such as the Juma Haina Dam, Treehouse Dam. That area is the area I'm going to see if we can find something interesting for the morning. Not much evidence on the ground showing the animal activities for last night. So now let's cross over to David, who is lucky with a lion.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've never been disappointed when I come to the Sausage Republic, because in a few seconds I'm going to show you the famous kinktail, and there she is. I want all of you to look on her tail as she's going to meet the sister or the first cousin and say good morning and Happy New Year. Take it from me, I do not understand what they're saying, but ideally they have told each other Happy New Year. And the fact that we got a wonderful sighting for kinktail. The other day we did a poll and we're looking at her belly, and all of you can see what a huge belly she got. We'll be doing a poll later to find out how many cubs do you think she'll get between 1 and 3. Hashtag SafariLive, and that one other cub is running in front of Kinktail. She just went down, and my poll was how many cubs do you think Kinktail will get once she drops her young ones, and I requested between 1 and 3. Hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. And this is the oldest girl in this particular pride of the sausage tree, and the one that we just saw walking saying Happy New Year to her, we call her Limpy, and the young cub or the son of Limpy is for that Limpy there, and is going to meet the other girl. So she just went down. We got 5 girls in this pride, and that's Limpy walking, and she's just being followed by her son. I'm saying her son because we have been able to establish that it is a boy, and there's the other female that has 2 cubs and is just about to say good morning to the other. So if you look to her left, there are 2 other cubs that are just about to come and say hello to their auntie, who is Kinky, and there they come. So these ones, I guess they're about 4 months old. How beautiful to see such cubs. I am thinking they must have gotten a kill the last 2 days. Those bellies are huge by any standard. How lovely. Yeah, very chubby, and definitely you're right, Em, because the last I saw them, they looked a bit hungry to me, and they had 2 attempts to make a kill, and they were very unsuccessful. You can see Kinktail there, just enjoying, seeing the sisters just moving around, and out of her experience, she's looking at what direction they're going, but I think they have been already out. It's only me who was in the wrong place. So what I want to do again, well, good question, Carl. You'd like to know who is the father. There are 2 male coalitions here that we call the Ondonyo Pike. And the last we saw Kinky mating was mating with one of those males. Now, these cubs, the 3 of them, we think also those are the fathers. One of those males, or both, I mean, could be the fathers. And the other dominant male that was here, that we all know called Kipuli, has been missing in action for some time. Kipuli at one point mated with Kinktail. Kinktail is the girl who's walking right there. And then a few weeks or so later, we saw Kingtail mating with that other male. So we got a feeling that the second mating is the one that was successful of the Olondonyo pike. She has a very quick pea break there. See where we call her the Kingtail? It's that band that she has on her tail. Now, what I want to do is to move forward a little bit, and when I do that, we'll all give you another chance to look at Kingtail and look at her belly. Let us not estimate the time, because I have been wrong that a few times. But one female that is missing in this spread now, I got a feeling there's no reason why she hasn't brought us new cubs for the new year. So let's move forward, and you're going to do a poll, and between 1 to 3 cubs, I want you to tell me how many cubs do you think, when time comes, Kingtail will get. Okay, so hold on your seats, and I think what very good they're doing now, they're going to spend themselves. We saw them looking very chubby, the belly is bulging out, the cubs, which meant they must have gotten the food for some food for themselves. So let's catch up with lionesses. I'll take you back to South Africa to my friend Sydney.
I am heading much more towards the hyena den, and while doing that, I'm checking the ground here to see if I'm not going to be lucky with one of the two, Tingana or Hosana. These two has last been spotted in these areas, but the one which was spotted last night by the dam camp, I'm not too sure if it's Tingana or Hosana. So I'm just checking everywhere. Maybe it was Hosana. A child of the universe, which animal does scent marking after the rain? So all the animals who are using the scent in order to demarcate their territories, they've got to go back now after these rains and bring back the scent. If they don't maintain that, the other males from the neighboring territories, possibilities of them to extend their territories into the other one's territories, they are very much high. So when you see these animals bringing back the scent, they are maintaining the scent so that they can communicate with the neighboring males that I am still here and this is still my territory. It ends here. A lot of hyena tracks. The challenge with the hyenas is that those ones, they just walk around all night long in search of food. So it's difficult to track them. So now let's cross over back to Steve, who's got an interesting bird.
Yes, well, thank you, Sidders. We have got a feathered friend, and one of the coolest looking birds around, in fact, the African hoopoe. And, well, it was excited a moment ago. It flew up into the tree. The crest was pushed up on the head, and, well, it has dropped it again now with that long probing beak. Oopsie, there he goes. He's excited again. It just jumped up. Oh, he's gone. And it was walking around on the ground just before with a couple of starlings and a couple other birds. Birds after the rain, there's lots and lots of things going, because the rain will actually start pushing insects up that might be on the floor. And the hoopoe probes their beak like a knitting needle into the ground, looking for all sorts of things under the ground. And worms and the like actually come up because of the moisture. They can't breathe under the soil. The hoopoe enjoying a little bit of feeding. Anyway, Semet is one of the coolest birds around, in fact. The hoopoe, we get a European hoopoe which looks identical. I think there's only slight differences in them, but I wouldn't, off the top of my head, be able to tell you the difference. When I saw one in Europe, I thought it was the same bird, but it is in fact not. but a very cool bird nonetheless. What is that? So just a little bit of mud off a tire. Appears to be almost look like a little bit of leopard poo, but it's not. Okay, well, so we've done a bit of a loop around, come and check in the Umawati drainage, see if we can maybe find any activity of a leopard moving around, because you know they could be anywhere in this weather, probably with some food. But anyway, David is caught up with Kinky Tail and the Sausage Tree Pride. Let's go and see what they're up to. Well, terribly sorry about the technical issues once again coming from up in the Mara. But why has someone not moved this branch? I'm just going to quickly move a branch in the road, if you do forgive me. Driving around a branch that is really small is just rather silly. I suppose it's not as small as four-wheel drive. There we go, off the road. Some hippo tracks coming through here. I don't think it was a hippo who did that. I think possibly an elephant. Okay, so I find it very interesting with the Sausage Tree Pride. We know that Kinky Tail is pregnant. We know that the one other lioness is potentially also pregnant. But then a few of the females, two of the lionesses, have given birth to cubs over the last little while. Kapuli was mating with the Pride. So were two of the young males. Super Steve, that wasn't so difficult, Linda, but thank you. Two of the young Sausage Tree Prides with Brent were apparently being allowed to mate as well. And then you have the two lionesses with cubs, and then the Aldonio Pyack males come in, and well, they don't kill them. So it is really interesting, the dynamics of what's going on down there, because we certainly had Kinky Tail mating with both of those males, the Aldonio Pyack males from the south, but the other lionesses had mated with Kapuli and the other males. So I find it really, really strange. I mean, we talk about lion dynamics and all the social and all the interesting things that go on when it comes to infanticide, when male lions kill cubs. And then you see the Sausage Tree Pride. First of all, Kapuli allowing two younger males to mate with what seemingly is his females. Very strange. And then you find other males coming in and ignoring the cubs of most likely not them. I find it just very, very interesting. So you can't read everything in a book. Well, I suppose you can. That looks like we've got a kite over there, Darby. Oh, it looks like a kite. You're flying off now, are you? That was cheeky. It was looked like a black kite. Not very forked on the tail, but he's gone. And they'll be loving the termites that will be coming out. We had a lot more termite alates flying around the garage this morning. And after this rainfall, well, I can tell you that they are going to be in abundance once again. And all of the birds will be loving life, loving the termite accumulation that is going on. And well, they started yesterday, and we didn't foresee any rain on the horizon. And maybe they knew, barometric sort of air pressure, that the rain was coming, and they were going to start releasing the alates. And well, this morning there were as many around our vehicle as there were yesterday. Bearing in mind the alates being flying termites, the reproductives, they need to obviously fly out, meet a partner, mate, and then dig themselves into the ground to form a new hole, and then the whole cycle continues. But let's try go back up to the Masai Mara with David Gitu with the Sausage Tree Pride and find out his thoughts about Kapuli and the Aldonio Pyack males.
It's so amazing to see these lions walking here in the dew. And I was talking, or as we were showing you earlier, we showed you a lot of grass without anything moving in it. But now luckily we see a small little cub just maneuvering through, following the mother. And you'd see the trail they're leaving behind us. They're going, dropping all the droplets on the grass blades there. And how special is that? And that's one cub, and the mother of this particular cub here is called Limpy. And look at her belly and see how full she is. And then looking on her fur, you can see he got, because he's a boy, a lot of water that he is collecting as he is moving through the grass. If you look below the tail, you can see the testicles, telling you 100% that is a boy. So they need to keep walking, and because as I said earlier, they're full, chances are either they get some water or they're going to put themselves in a small lager where they're going to spend the rest of the day. It's not as hot as yet for them to be out, so if they want, I'm sure they could, but either they have different plans, and I was talking about buffaloes before that I saw from a distance, and they could be going in an area where they can hide, and maybe tonight go for a buffalo meal. 5 females together and 3 cubs, they need to keep eating, so I'm not surprised if as much as they think they had a kill for themselves, they could be going to eat. Lisa, great comment. They're getting really big, and they are. I mean, these calves, you just saw them the other day when they were just a few weeks old now, and now at 4 months for the 2 and 3 for the 1. That is super big. Now, for those of you who could be joining us now, this is the very famous Olol Pride. I mean, the famous Sausage Tree Pride, that I love and have been following them for quite some time. And look at the tail of that particular lioness there. You see it got a bent, and we call her kingtail. And look at her belly. So we had requested for a poll of all of you telling us when her time comes to give birth, how many cubs do you think she will drop? 1 to 3. So give us your feelings, and then I'm going to give you a final poll at the end of the drive today, or as soon as the final control gets it. And that's kingtail. The latest poll I'm getting says 3. 3 is leading 55%. And I can tell you, all of you saying 3, I'm with you. So the percentage might move from 55 to 55 point something. So 3 is a very possible. That belly to me looks pretty huge. And she's the last on the line there to get to that particular laga. Laga is like a little valley where you see those trees. And I'm just trying to guess that's maybe where they want to spend the rest of the day, most likely. Or they could be moving elsewhere. I'll go have a drink and then maybe try to read the behavior or the movement of the buffaloes that I had seen earlier from a distance. The place I had stopped earlier, showing you the deer on the grass. The buffaloes were on my left, about a kilometer away. And with all the wildebeest gone, with all the zebras gone in this particular area, they have to deal with, I would say, buffaloes. And they're very good. The Sausage Tree Pride, it's very good in bringing down buffaloes. So what I'll do, I'll move on, and chances might be we could be lucky to see them on a different angle. They've just crossed that one lager that I'm watching, and they might be going out from that lager to the other side. And Sydney is talking of small creatures this morning.
You can see I've got a beautiful sighting of the tortoise now moving with his mobile house. Sometimes this mobile house, they do provide these animals with a protection. But when it comes to the animals such as honey badgers, we saw it a few weeks ago when the honey badger was eating one of the tortoise. The shell is so hard. This kind of animals, they even eat the droppings of those animals who eat bones so that they can have calcium maintenance in order to harden the shell. But when it comes to the honey badgers, it doesn't work. Honey badgers, they open and eat the flesh. You can see now it's time for the tortoise to maybe is feeding and is hiding the legs and underneath parts. So the tortoise, it's not easy for an animal to get hold of the head and the meat. That honey badger we saw eating the tortoise, it was not easy for him to get to the meat. But he managed to open and crack this very tough shell and eat the flesh. These animals can survive for 150 to 200 years, and that is quite a lot of years. Imagine if it's feeding on this calcium very often when it's getting old that this shell can be so hard. I don't think when the tortoise is very old, the honey badger can be able to open the shell. So you can see this one is also darkening. This is a leopard tortoise. So the difference between the male and female leopard tortoise is that the male has got a concave shape here underneath. The female is much more flat. And the female has got a short tail. The male has got a long tail. So they both withdraw their heads when feeling threatened. Chris, the tortoises are so beautiful animals. And they don't have tooth to crush bones. That is why they go for the droppings of those animals who crush bones so that they can just get the simple droppings. Tortoise can also be very much camouflaged. Safari Sally, the age of the tortoise. People, they use different methods, but the tortoise, as they are growing old, you will see that shells starting to get darker, but some people can be able to determine the age just from the lines, those lines we are seeing now, which are on the shell. So I don't know how to calculate it from the lines, but I know people can be able to count the number of lines there and associate that with a number of years this tortoise has been living. Just more like the trees. When you cut the trees, you will see the rings. Some people can be able to judge the age of a plant from the rings of the epidermis inside. You can see now that the house is moving. I love me, the shell grow with the tortoise, because the shell, if it's not growing, then the tortoise is going to have a problem. So the shell must have to be growing with the tortoise in order to accommodate the body as it's growing. So it's just that the tortoise are not like these other animals which does molting, such as spiders, which has to molt first in order to allow the body to grow. Okay, look at that head. The head looks like a leather. So you can see how this tortoise is walking, that the tracks, you will see the two tracks, the gap is like a vehicle where this tortoise has gone past. You will see the two tracks and the gap between these tracks. So now let's move on and see if we can get to the hyena den and see who is there. Maybe we are going to be lucky with them. So now we are approaching the tree house dam, which is where I'm going to check if there are no tracks for the leopards. So now let's quickly go back to the lions.
My lions are still on the walk, the Sausage Tree Pride. They are on the road. I am doing a bit of off-roading away from the normal road for the vehicles that we use, because we see the animals have the right of way. And you can see through the pace of that particular female. She's quite fast because she is on a very clear path. As she's moving, she'll stop, she's looking, because one of the members of the Sausage Tree Pride is way ahead of them by like what, a whole 300 meters. She'll stop, she'll look back to see if the others are coming, and there's one that is struggling, and that is Kingtail, and for the one obvious reason, she is pregnant. For those of you who could be joining us now, this is the Sausage Tree Pride in the Mara Triangle in Kenya, and we'll always request you, should you have any questions or comments, you may send them through #SafariLive on Twitter. We love hearing from you on what we show you or bring you from the African wilderness. So there are 3 cubs in this particular pride, and sorry about my head, we're going to move around a little bit to get a better view of the cubs, because they're going to come and pass in front of us right on the road here. And one set is 4 months of 2, and there's one that is about 3 months old. So I'm not sure whether it's the younger one. They're pretty close when you look at them in terms of size. You need to see them when they're close to each other. Not sure what that attention. She picked that lioness there. She's looking towards a particular side. Said to have a rest. What did you see there? Ralph, very good question. Do we know when Kingtail is due? I'll tell you, Ralph, no idea. There's one female here that we have not seen for the last 3 days, and I made very wrong estimation or prediction when she would be popping up her cubs. And the last I saw her, which was 4 days ago, she was still looking very heavy. So Kingtail, I would say, not 100%, but it will definitely be this month of January. If it goes to 2 weeks, I'm not going to predict any lions, Ralph, a time when they will drop the young ones. No, but I would say not more than 2 weeks. The other females, if she has not dropped her young ones, I'll be surprised. So the young cubs, and the 3 of them, or the 2 of them you see there, are males, and they belong to the mother to the right, and the younger one there belongs to Kingtail. I mean, not Kingtail, but Limpy. We think this one is the one that's 3 months old, and the other 2 are 4 months old. So if we get new additions from either Kingtail or the other female, we might be having maybe 7. And as the poll said, we think Kingtail might come with 3. Then we'll be having 8 cubs in this particular pride, which will be amazing. Now the one that went ahead went and did not stop and kept going, but now these 2 and the cubs have stopped. Yes, it's true. Says it would be awesome to have, as many cubs in this very special pride, and how playful they can become. And it's time for a little bit of a play now. Either agree where to go and spend the day. See the bellies of those cubs. You can tell last night and coming out this early morning, they definitely had a meal. So what they're doing now, they're heading out to the area I've seen them, or to the area that I'm guessing that the other female could be the one that I'm assuming she got cubs by now, if not today or tomorrow. I've been wrong a few times that I want now to say 48 hours is the longest period I'll give her to please drop them. And they might take 4-6 days before they come out. Ralph, you're right that it'll be very solid. If we get 8 cubs here, you're very right, Ralph. It'll be truly solid, and there'll be a force to reckon with. I've said a few times that these particular girls, on their own, they have brought down buffaloes, which many prides will always need some muscles of a male to bring down a buffalo. But these girls on their own, they have pretty strong muscles, and they have all the best hunting skills to do that. Now, Kingtail is trying to join this mother with the cubs, but I also want to give you one more view of Kingtail to see whether our poll is going to remain the same, because the last I got from M, she told me 55% said Kingtail could be carrying 3 cubs. Bob, you would imagine you're talking about scabs. They are kicking, and it's pretty special. Let me just, Bob, move a little bit forward, because I got a feeling they want to get in some little thickets there to spend the day. And Bob, I want to show you the king tail there. We usually imagine all the biology. Well, Indigo Girl, how are you today? And you're thinking for, and I'll not be surprised, Indigo Girl, for one obvious reason. Lions have been known to have between 1 to 4 cubs. Indigo Girl, it could be a possibility, and you could be the only one who will be right. And I'll be more than happy to share you the news of these cubs, Indigo Girl, when they come, and I'll tell you, was it 1, 2, 3, 4? Definitely not more than 4. So Indigo Girl, stay tuned. And I'll tell you, when it comes to food, people will forget whether, the lionesses will forget whether they're pregnant or not. But they may not run like the other lionesses that are not pregnant. But what they may do, they'll be given a different task. And I'm talking of them maybe being sent, when the others Farah will lay an ambush on when to attack or get the prey, the pregnant one will be given the challenge of go towards the prey and push it towards the other lionesses. So that's what the pregnant one will do, because Farah, you'd imagine, being that heavy, she would not be able to run very much. So that is the role she'll be given. You go and try and push that buffalo, that will be that whatever prey it is, towards us, and we'll do the chase. You stay put, because lions have been known to do that, being very intelligent cats. They'll be coming towards me, most likely before they disappear in the grass or in the little thickets that I'm thinking, that's where I'm thinking they're going to bend, and I'm sure once in there it will be very tricky to see them. So what I want us to do is to have one more view of this pride, and more so the kingtail, and see if some of the viewers are going to change their minds in terms of the percentage. Carol, I have witnessed so many animals giving birth, but Carol, unfortunately, or fortunately, not lions. Giraffes I've seen, elephants I've seen, and I'll tell you what, wildebeest, like every other time, Carol, zebras every other time. But it's very difficult for most guys, I'm sure they'll tell you, to see cats giving birth. They usually choose particular spots. It's always very difficult for us to see. The closest now one walking to, in front of the car that just stopped, she is not pregnant. I do not know why. So we got 4 of those females here. And the 5th one is the one I'm thinking she's lying somewhere with some beautiful bundles of joy that maybe after 3 or 4 days, maybe 7 days, she might want to bring them out. We'll have one more last quick look at the kingtail at the end there, and maybe see whether you're going to change your mind from 3 maybe to 4, like Indigo Girl, or maybe 3 to 2, and they're definitely slowly and surely going to spend the day in that particular apartment of those trees. And how beautiful to see all the dew on the grass with these lions walking through there, and more so the cubs. How magical is this? That's why the African wilderness will always remain special, not only to you viewers, even to us. Isn't that cute? So remember to keep sending me your polls of what you think kingtail will be getting. Maybe I'm giving kingtail 2 weeks, and I gave the other mother maybe 48 hours. She's slowly fading out to go to that nice apartment they have found for themselves. Very good. So, Sagittarius Pride, you have met my morning on day 2 of 2019. When I'll be telling you to have a beautiful rest in those thickets, as you can see them slowly and surely disappearing into it. And those are orange leafed crotons and some magic kingwari trees. And because I think it's going to be pretty warm for them, and Kinky doesn't want to keep walking a lot, they may choose just to go and have a rest there. Vaguely, I have an idea where they would be, and chances are I don't see them going very far from there, especially as the day warms. Well, you have given me a wonderful gift for the new year, because yesterday, the first day, I never saw you, seeing you 24 hours later. It's pretty special. I'll let you have a restful day, and I'll take you back to South Africa to my friend Sydney Mikosi.
I have just been to the hyena den now, and I found that by the hyena den there is nothing. The den is not active at the moment. Maybe it's because of the weather condition. Here with me is the nyalas. There is a bachelor head of nyalas. How many? I'm seeing 4 nyalas are feeding together right here. Oh, you can hear there is some calls from the francolins. I don't know what these francolins are seeing here behind me. And you can see that the nyalas are also now taking that call into consideration. So the francolins, let me just reverse and check. Because the animals such as the francolins, sometimes they do inform us about the presence of the predators. Because now I can see that the nyalas are not settled. So that call was coming from here. So I can't see what exactly these francolins were complaining about. Let me go back in there and check nicely. So the birds that, such as the francolins, they help us when it comes to these big cats. Maybe there is a big cat here. You can see now that the nyalas are also now moving. After that call, they are not. Oh, they're feeding again. Maybe the francolin just saw something very small. These are very beautiful fluffy hairs. It must be tough for a leopard in order to get rid of all these hairs, as they've got to use the tongue to scrape and get rid of the hairs. This is a very fluffy animal. You can see they also got the stripes and some of the markings which blur. Look at that. This is so beautiful. So the nyalas are interesting, especially when they are demonstrating the territorial behavior, when they are going in slow motions, trying to exaggerate their body size. Safari Sally, the birds that normally gives us the alarm call is the francolin. The francolin is reliable. The only problem with these alarm calls is that the birds don't give an alarm call to a specific animal. They give an alarm call to all the predators, ranging from the small predators such as the mongoose to the big predators such as the lions. So they can give the very same kind of a warning against the mongoose, and they will give the very same kind of a warning against the leopard and against the lion. That is the challenge. So I'm just gonna try and go around the quarantine and see if we cannot find a leopard around here. Maybe there's a leopard. So now let's quickly go back to the Unkuhumas.
Welcome back. Well, we've come all the way back around again to only find the pride of Unkuhumas just slowly, one by one, moving closer and closer into the bushes as they are trying their best to not get wet. Now, they haven't moved very far, but what is interesting is there's the Mangeni male right in amongst them. which is, well, quite bizarre. Maybe he's won the hearts of them. You see his hips, how they stick out compared to the one on the left now. They're all in good condition. The rest of the pride, he's probably not getting too much in the way of food from them. Just enough to keep his energy to the level where he can follow. But just looking right and left and seeing if maybe one of our little leopards will pop out. Hello, Mr. Piggy. They are, the lions are essentially the same species, Panthera leo. There might be marginal differences in size due to the prey availability, but genetically they are the same. If anything, they have evolved in different environments due to the sort of distance we have between the two countries. So there might be very slight differences in their behavior, but the way that the lions hunt up in the Mara is quite different from here. Lions here need to use the thickets as sort of a camouflage, whereas the Mara lions rely on the grass itself, and invariably they are able to take down larger prey that side. But in saying that, the lions down here, the Nkuhumas, are well known for catching buffalo. But it is something you'll see even within the Kruger Park itself. You'll see, depending on what the prey availability is in the area of that pride develops a speciality towards them. So, for example, here we have the Nkuhuma pride. They are well known for catching buffalo. When I was in the east in the Kruger Park at Singita, those lions didn't really know what to do with the herd of buffalo, but they were very well adapted to catching giraffe. So I haven't seen them with the giraffe this side. I've no doubt they probably have caught giraffe before. I've yet to find. The more abundant prey species is, the animals sort of adapt their hunting strategy to catch those animals. But there might be a very slight difference in weight between the Mara lions and here. And just like the desert lions you find in the Kalahari, that sort of area, those lions are invariably bigger because they have bigger areas to sort of cover, and they invariably catch larger prey, sometimes by themselves. So that's led to a different weight class. Being a bigger lion in that environment has been the adaptation or been the advantage. But overall, the lions are the same. Then when we see the hyena here, they are also genetically the same as the ones up in the Mara, although the ones in the Mara have got longer fur. That's probably just a weather-related sort of adaptation. But they are professional hunters up there, where down here we know our hyena to just be skulking scavengers. We haven't found them making any kills. That's not to say they don't, but up in the Mara, invariably that is what they do most of the time. But if there's one thing I can tell you for sure, lions up in the north and lions here have a very similar behavior in their sleeping pattern. You can spend many an hour with lions doing exactly this. The temperatures in the Mara are a little bit more sort of constant, which means the lions seem to be a little bit more active up that side. Tuti, thunder and lightning does have an effect on many animals, and they will actually, if it is quite close by, they will react to lightning. But if it's just a thunderstorm moving through and not really making too much noise nearby, it doesn't seem to affect many animals too much. What I always find incredible is that lions don't really ever seem to search out proper shelter when it comes to rain. They know that to go stand under a tree when it is hot is beneficial to them, but when it rains they seem to just do this, or climb into a very small bush at the back, which is not really going to keep them dry. So I don't really know what. But when it comes to lightning storms, I've seen lions have a little bit of a fright as they just hear a bolt that cracks next to them, but I think that affects everybody. The lightning bolt smashing right next to you, and that would scare the life out of anything for a moment. But for now, they are quite content to just stay exactly where they are. Mushy, you want to know about false eyes on lions? I don't know what you're talking about. Davy, false eyes? Sorry, Mushy, I'm not certain what you're talking about. Maybe you can elaborate on false eyes. Ever heard of a false eye on a lion? I'm not sure. Emma's saying maybe the shadowing on the eye. I have no idea. I've never ever heard of false eyes before. A pearl-spotted owlet has got false eyes on the back of their head to sort of show animals that it's looking in both directions to confuse whoever might be trying to sneak up on them. I've heard the story. A friend of mine, he always used to say that the tip of impala ears, those black spots, are designed to be false eyes, which is a really funny story. If you think about impala having eyes like antennas on the end of the head, almost like a snail. I don't know. It's one of those really silly stories that he came up with. He kind of convinced himself it was true. But I've never heard of anything like that. The only animal I know with false eyes is, the pearl-spotted owlet, and then a lot of butterflies will have sort of false head and antennae sort of on their tail, which makes it look like a head. And when a bird comes to catch them, they will often grab the one end, breaking off bits of the tail and not damaging the head. Because, well, as most of you know, if your head gets damaged, especially if you're as small as a butterfly, there's no really going back on that. But if a bird grabs just a little bit of your tail and that breaks off, well, invariably they can flap away and move away and still be alive. The second attempt might not be so helpful. But anyway, looking close in on the lion's eye, sometimes you can actually notice there's a little bit of sort of like a whiteness on the bottom of the eye, and some people think that is to sort of absorb a little bit more light when the lions are hunting at night. We all know football players put this like black markings on their face. Cheetah have got black markings under their eyes. They believe that's to be sort of a light absorbing or a light deflection sort of thing, to allow the eye to see more light without there being too much of a glare. The white being the nocturnal version, assisting in maybe attracting a little bit more light to that area just below the eye so that the lion can see a little bit better. Although their eyes are so well adapted to it, that might have been a precursor to the well-adapted nocturnal vision. Would have become as sort of a morphological change in the fur, and then slowly over time their eye became as sensitive and as well adapted to night as it is now. Well, there we go. That is classic lion posture of one that is deciding to get a little bit of a belly cooled down. It is not cold this morning, folks. It is still lovely temperatures. As we hear the Dedrick's cuckoo calling in the distance, we're going to go up to some lions who are probably in a little bit warmer temperatures, seeking the shade.
Well, you're right, Sibobo. If the lions choose to be lazy and flat, you just also choose to do something different, because if you keep sticking with them, you also become lazy and flat like them. Well, you saw how different the sausage of pride was behaving, very active, moving in the grass, and the cubs also being very playful with the mother, until at one point where they were like, we're not going to be lazy, we are not going to be flat, we are going to disappear, get in our apartments and we shut the door and see you, David, later in the day. That's exactly what I did with them, and as I said earlier, they have given me so much joy to see them. I was really hoping to see them yesterday, but when I saw the two leopards that were mating, I got distracted and I forgot the lions, and I stayed with them, and after mating they disappeared. I never saw them again, but I kept looking for them to see. I mean, we see leopards here in the Mara just like in Juma, but it's rather difficult. So when you see, I would say, leopards here, it overrides every other predator or every other animal you'd be looking for. Taylor, I'll tell you, different cat species will have overlapping territories. For example, where we are, we saw that one particular male leopard, the tree shepherd, that lives here, and we have the sausage tree pride also that lives here. So the thing is, being a different species, Taylor, they have no issues with each other. But same species of cats will be a concern. This territory here, for example, belongs to the sausage tree pride. Now, there's another pride not very far from here that is called the Owino pride, and should that happen, that they become close here, they will definitely go for each other. Lions are very territorial, and I'm talking of both males and females. But it's not surprising to see leopards still here, lions still here, so long as they are different species. Just for some like certain birds like eagles, we have seen particular eagles like snake eagles or marshall eagles will be living in the same area, so long as they are different species. But you're not going to see another pair of, say, marshall eagles coming to live in an area that's already occupied by another pair. So that happens a lot, so long as they are different species. Hyenas, the same, you know. We got different clans living different areas, but two clans will not come together. And every once in a while, you might see just hyenas walking and walking like during the day or at night and wonder what they're doing, where they're going. But they're just patrolling their borders. They'll keep going, stop, sniff, and finding out if we got any marauding or any hyenas that would want to enter in that particular territory. So you could have a huge territory like this with hyenas, Taylor, leopards, lions in very same area, but not two, not same species of, say, two prides or two clans of hyenas in one area, or two male leopards. Chris, I missed question from Chris, something in the air. I'm going to bring it again. So I'm just enjoying the breeze. There's a question there. How bad the fall, Chris? I mean, it was very bad. Those 3 weeks, Chris, we had the rains. I would say it was really bad. And what we did, Chris, sorry about the corrugation of the car. What we did, Chris, it was just smart to avoid areas that were bad. I mean, I'm sure, Chris, you all follow us a lot, and you haven't gotten any news from us about the North Plan, about the waffles. And the area where the waffles are is almost even now inaccessible. I mean, it has dried up, but the roads that lead us to the waffles have so deep ruts, and we still got very soft mud. The soil chemistry of the Mara is black cotton soil, and it's very soft. So putting a very heavy car like this there, you'll just sink. And if you try to push yourself forward, every time you spin, you keep digging. And we thought we'll give that particular area some break until it dries up, and we go back there. I mean, personally, Chris, I can't wait to go back to that area, because the girls who have been researching those hyenas told us the other day they got a feeling that the granddaughter of Waffles is just about to turn tables and overthrow her. Who knows? I can't wait to see that. So it was pretty bad, but I'll tell you, Chris, the long rains in May, April, May, and June were even heavier. Alrighty, very good. And if it continues drying like this, Chris, things will get better, and we shall be able to drive all the areas we have always liked to drive and show you more wonderful stuff. Now, Stivovo, are your lions getting any better, or they're still flat?
Well, thanks, Gigi. The lions, one or two of them are slowly starting to groom themselves, which is a positive sign, apart from the fact that that is a youngster that is busy grooming. But what happens often is lions will go through bouts of grooming. They'll do a bit of a yawn, a little bit of a stretch, and then up they will get. What's going on? Have you spotted something there, young lady? That is the young boy in front. I haven't seen the Telemati male here yet, Darby, have you? I don't know if he's here. He's a very attractive young boy. I've only seen him on camera. I haven't seen him in person, but that is definitely the Nkuhuma boy there. Yeah, well, they do that sometimes. They sometimes kick each other in the head, Emma, but sometimes they stand up and urinate on each other's faces. So I suppose being kicked in the head is a lot less sort of impacting on your moment. We had earlier this year one of, there's the stretch. Oh, bless you. The grooming turns into a stretch, turns into movement, turns into a head rub behind the bush, of course. And slowly but surely, there is some movement in the pride. A little bit of a head shake because, well, they are saturated. And down again. That was hard work. Really, really impressive that you managed to move 4.5 meters there, young lady. Thank you for the action. And here we have another one who's enjoying a little bit of a belly moistening session. Well, they are in a good position, being close to the water like this, but if it was a warm day, you'd expect animals to come and drink. Most animals, however, don't need to come down and drink because there's so much moisture out there. They can just lick it off the vegetation, and when they feed, they actually get a lot of moisture in with their diet on a wet day like this. So the ambush sort of idea that these cats are trying to lay down, well, it's going to need a little bit of rethinking. You can see he's got a bit of mange, a few spots on his head, doesn't he? Probably from competition and during fighting, during the feeding. Hello, child of the universe. Well, the young females will come into estrus probably as early as 2.5 years, and it might even be slightly earlier than that, but 2.5 is kind of the early sort of stages, and then up until 3. So it depends really on there we go, the boy's going to go say hello to his sister. Boys won't mate at 2.5. They won't really be allowed to. They will try, but invariably they get pushed away by their family, going, "Oi, you're not supposed to be doing that." So from 2.5, females will start coming into estrus, and not all the time do they produce a lot of cubs. When their first litter is often just one, and the second litter can improve. But quite often the first litter of a lion cub as well, of a lioness, is also unsuccessful. It is the early stages of development, but they will breed all the way up until 10, 12, even 13 years of age. There's another young lady here. You can see there's no development in the mammary glands. Sorry, Emma. Paula asked what's the largest something that I've seen. Largest litter, I think. Paula, hello. You want to know the largest litter that I've seen? Well, the mountain pride that I saw in Singita when we were there, they had between 5 lioness. There were 9 boys and 7 females. So I don't actually know who was who. But then with the other pride that split off from them, the Shirombe pride, they had 9 youngsters, all the same age, and it was also hard to say who the mothers were, but there were 4 lioness in that pride. So you saw them all together, 9 together. It was hard. We didn't find the cubs brand new, and lions are known to communally suckle. So it's not like a hyena clan that you can go there and see, okay, cool, that lioness has got, or that hyena's got 1 or 2. Unless you see the birth happening or you find the lioness on her own, it's very hard to say. But 3 is generally, 2 or 3 is generally the average, but lions have been known to have up to 6. I've never found a lion on her own with 6 cubs. I've found a few lionesses with 3, many with 2, and a couple with 1. But when the pride comes together after those first 3 months or so, and if all the lionesses have reproduced at the same time, you'll often get this huge boost of cubs, 5 to 10, up to 20 cubs even, in one go. And sometimes you have good success and sometimes you don't. If there is a prevalence of disease in the population, sometimes it hits the cubs quite heavily. But the Unkuhumas are looking quite good. Their pride ranks are growing, and the sexual sort of division is quite strong. You normally expect in a sort of a litter to have about a 50% male, 50% female sort of ratio. And, well, maybe there were some last year in this pride. Well, it's actually a year and a half ago now, because these lions are probably approaching 2 years of age now, if I have my maths right. I think they might be a little bit more than 2 now. I think they were about 14 months when I started. Maybe those of you out there who have been following the Nkuhuma Pride for many, many years will be able to inform me. And these youngsters here, I think, are around 2. Davy, do you remember?
Sure.
Davy can't remember. Around the age of 2 now. And the boy is definitely starting to show signs of becoming a man, but he's still a little bit underdeveloped. But generally in lions litters, there's a 50% male, 50% female. I don't know what happened to the pride in the early stages, if there were more males and maybe they didn't survive. There's some alarm calls in the bush there. I'm going to quickly zoom out here and go and have a little look. So Chris, that 2.5, it's amazing how 6 months can just disappear. Because yeah, they were about 14 months or so when I started, and that's a year ago now. So that makes a lot of sense. Anyway, we're just going to quickly go. I heard a Franklin alarm calling down here in the drainage. Let's go see what they are shouting at. But in the meantime, let's go and see if Sitters has had any luck with leopard search.
A dry riverbed, and there are no tracks of the spotted cats at all. The rain rubbed all the... Hoping to see a spotted cat this morning, but it is very much difficult. The ground does not have a lot of information about these animals today. Maybe we're gonna be lucky when we go to the Twinsdam area, because that is where I'm gonna come out. But there is a very nice shelter for them to hide when it's drizzling like this here by the dry riverbed. Maybe the rain is the one which is causing all these difficulties. So Hosanna must be somewhere here resting, hiding away from the rain under a very nice thick bush. So now let's quickly cross over to David and hear what he's up to at the moment.
Well, good luck, Sydney. Hopefully you're going to catch up with the chief of Juma, Hosanna. And again, I will say that was my very first leopard to see in Juma way back. And I found out the behavior of leopards there is very different than the behavior of leopards here. They get so close to the car, they do look very worried being close to the car. And leopards here, you're very lucky if you see one just walking next to you. Now you've got people who will always come here doing camping, or the truck ahead of us could be maybe bringing supply to one of the camps or the lodges in this area. I'm going to say hello to them and maybe tell them good morning, Happy New Year. So yeah, they're full of food supplies, you know. We also have a truck, not exactly like that one, ours is much bigger, and every once in a week they'll bring us so the bacons and the sausages, like my sausage trip ride, and fruit and juices. But the roads they go through are quite rough. You're looking at the road like this, and they have to do about 250 kilometers, or about what, 180 miles to Nairobi, and a rough road. They leave in the morning. Have to move very slowly because different. The vehicles in Juma on and what's in his own pretty much shorter. They're much shorter than these ones, but I was a bit longer. Well, I keep trying. My signal could be a bit little Ify, let me take you first back to Stivovo.
Well, thanks, Gigi. We just got some alarm calls of Franklin's just up here. Just popping my nose in here quickly, see if we can see anything moving. A very reliable Franklin when it comes to a leopard moving through the landscape. And this is, this is Hosana's favorite area, isn't it? No, it's the way it is. He'll just pop out right at the end, just before we close. He'll be like, hello, I'm right here, guys. Just have a little bit of a listen, see if we can find any. It sounds like the Franklins are calling and then calling, which is kind of the characteristic state of a leopard moving. Gone quiet again. I'm just going to go out and go back around that side. And well, when I get back to the road, I'm going to keep listening. Sorry, I just saw something moving in the grass, and that actually was a Franklin. But as we all know, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday was Tuesday, and Tuesday is Tracking Tuesday. And this week we had a lovely track, or a tracking sign, sent through by Mr. Stefan Winterboer himself. And I think it was done in the Mara, but it is the same sort of activity that we will find here in the Mara in South Africa, probably just different species. And the question was, and I'll show you the picture now, for those of you who were not privy to the picture, you should always go and check out our social, what do you call it? Our Instagram page on SafariLive Official. And maybe I should learn how to turn on my phone. Okay, so here is the photo. And the question was, what animal was responsible for these mud granules, which are at the bottom over here? There's this pile of granules over here, and the knife that's been put there is not the same knife we normally use. The Leatherman I normally put down is about 10 centimeters. That is about 30. Oh, sorry, you can't see that. That is about 13 centimeters, about 5 inches. But for this sort of activity, it doesn't make too much of a difference, because the question was, who was responsible for these granules? And looking up at the top, it's quite obvious to see that hole in the ground with the silk laden around it. And well, it is most certainly a spider. And many of you out there guessed a baboon spider. You're 100% correct. Someone went so far as to say a tarantula. Well, it is not a tarantula, although the baboon spider is related to the tarantula, but we don't actually get tarantulas on the African continent that I'm aware of. But this characteristic hole that you can see up here, and a lot of people thought it was termites indeed. Termites don't really deposit granules on the ground. And what has happened here, in fact, is that this is the hole. The hole has gotten inundated with some moisture, and the baboon spiders are born with a tooth, a digging tooth, that throughout their life they're expanding the size of their hole. And if there's any rain, they'll also pull the mud out, scratching whatever has accumulated in there and making it a little bit bigger, and then depositing it on the side of the hole. Okay, so you could maybe have confused it with the scorpion. We'll do something very similar, but the hole over here would not be a round hole with silk. It would be a little keyhole, something you could likely put like a safe key in or something like that. And scorpions very, very similar in how they have to open up their hole as well. And maybe if it was bigger, it could be a gerbil of sorts, but that would be like a burrow into the ground, and you'd often also find all sorts of accumulation of organic material in those granules. But termites do not have a hole like this with the silk. Very important to look at the silk that's there. This is a classic baboon spider hole, and a relatively large one as well by the size. So I hope that answers your Tracking Tuesday questions, and no answer is the wrong answer. It might not be correct on the day, but it helps you to learn and to move forward. So if you have any questions, please feel free to send them through. Hopefully we can add any more value to what we've discussed there. But I haven't heard any more alarm calls off to the right. So we're going to go back to the Unkuhumas that are still lying up where they were. Maybe they've decided to get up and move since we left them. Carol, you think it's a big hole. Well, what is quite amazing is when that baboon spider comes out of the hole, it's about twice, maybe 3 times bigger than the hole. As it comes out, it just like all of its legs and body parts kind of move across. So the hole is actually quite small compared to the body size, and they can squeeze themselves into a small little bit, and then they come out and they're much bigger. So yeah, what you see, the hole, the spider is much bigger. But don't worry, baboon spiders aren't renowned for being venomous, and well, they do bite, but they're not regarded as having venom or having any venom that's worth worrying about. But if anything, it'll be like a pinch to your skin. Luke in FC was playing, not deliberately playing with a beetle last night, a little bit of a wood boring beetle that had attached itself to my back, and he was trying to get it off, and well, it didn't want to get off, and it bit him on the finger. I hope he's okay this morning. It was just a little bit of a bite, but it's just a pinch. Like if you take your skin and you pinch it like this, that is what will happen. Well, the lions are in the same place. We haven't lost them. Maybe there was a leopard moving in the drainage line, but it is a very tricky affair to just bumble in there. So we're going to come back around to the lions for the remainder of the show, unless something interesting occurs. Who knows? This is the wilderness, and this is live, and anything can happen at any time, as we have seen not only here in Djuma but up in the Mara as well. Anything can join the sighting at any stage, and well, let's go and see if anything is about to join David.
Well, at the moment I'm just enjoying the breeze on one of our best roads, and I think I had a question from Chris earlier, how the flooding affected this area when we had the rains. Now, this is one road that's remained very solid, and when people would get challenges of trying to take the small feeder roads left or right, and they would get stuck, when we leave the camp and we would meet with the other guides on the way, we would say, you know what, if you want to survive, stay here. Anything you do different by trying to go to the left or right, if you get stuck, don't call for help, because we shall not come. There was a particular scenario, I think that's about 2 weeks ago, where a gentleman decided, well, I'm gonna engage my 4-wheel drive and then the vehicles here for the front tires, because in general most of the Land Cruisers we use here work on the rear tires, but to use the front ones you have to mechanically lock them, and then you put or you engage a smaller gear here that's called low ratio, and then the car becomes very heavy and gives the engine a very big torque and very powerful. So this guy thought he could do that, and he did that, went out, but unfortunately as he was coming out, having watched a nice spread of lions, he made one big mistake. He reversed without looking and he dug himself in. So having been warned, the game rangers said no problem, we're going to do what we can. They came out of the car and literally walked to where he was stuck. Not to tow him, not to push him, but to get him and the guest in their car, and they took them to the camp. And that vehicle stayed there for 2 days. Either way, do we agree with you? We have the most beautiful view at the moment. It's green all over. The rains stopped, so we have the Mara Triangle Savannah, the scattered torture trees. Paula, I would say, maybe another 1,000 feet. My guess is anything to do or an average of 6,000 feet. And we apologize again, Paula. I hope you got my answer. And we had an issue a little bit of some technical or some gremlins, but I think we are all back. So the average elevation of the Mara is about 2,000 meters. And I do not know why the second day of 2019, after having a flying start yesterday, the gremlins are following me, Paula, but all should be good. So that's the oral escarpment we would watch there. But Paula, as I was saying before, we have an average of about 2,000 meters of the whole of Mara, the Mara Triangle, and the other side, and about 5,000 feet above sea level. So personally, I would give an average of about 1,000 feet for the Olororo escarpment. And every time I drive, even when I'm not watching anything, just an open area like this, I think, Paul, you're still in the wilderness. What do you think? And it's always amazing just to see this. And sitting here, getting the cool breeze is a very good feeling. And especially today, having seen my sausages, that I was wondering when or which will be the first day I'll see them for 2019. Fantastic. Well, this area towards that escarpment there's a pride that lives here that's called Owino, and Owino Pride has 5 members, 4 females and 1 young male. Now the Owinos initially were the same pride with the sausages, but I think in 2016 or thereabout they split. So when prides of lions get big, there's always a tendency for them to split because of sometimes food resources. But we have the largest pride here that's called the Olololos, which has 16 members. And when those ones are going to split, I don't think they're going to split because of food resources. It's because they got 7 youngsters, there are 7 males, and they want to believe those males will be forming a coalition of their own. 2.5 going to 3 years, boys out. And I've been looking at a very big force of a coalition of 7 males together. I don't think currently around this area, exactly here, and they have been ruling this area for a very long time. But they are the 3 Kicho males who've been in a lot of trouble. So either they agree to join them and they'll be in charge, and if they don't agree that, then I'm sure those youngsters will fight them. Now, Sydney Mikosi, are you winning? Are you doing anything important, or what is your position now?
Yet I am again back at the quarantine. Around here is going to be my last try. The impalas are also gone from these open areas. I don't know if maybe they are gone because they said the western side of the reserve. I haven't picked up any fresh tracks yet. Nothing. So maybe these animals are walking much more deep in these bushes, not on the road. I will just go and try the Galago pen. Maybe we might be lucky around the pen. Two days ago, we were lucky with Tandy Ray. It was a fantastic sighting, but she went much more towards the direction of Torchwood again. So she's just coming and going, coming and going. So also Talamba, I saw last Talamba by the Torchwood. Yeah, I'm going to try the last minute leopard now by the Galago pen. Let's just hope for the best. So this leopard, I'm sure, is in this block. So that's why I'm keep coming back here by the same area every time, because no tracks are coming out. I only saw the tracks of the leopards coming in. Maybe that was early, running about past 3 as the dam cam indicated. So there is quite a lot of bars here in this area. So now let's quickly go back to David. Maybe David has got some luck there.
Well, still enjoying all the bridges, but we've got so many cars now. The people, when they go out on a drive, what they'll choose to do is to have breakfast in the camp and then carry some box lunches. So all the vehicles you're seeing coming out now, they're coming out of their camps and they spend the day out instead of doing a very quick short drive in the morning and then going back again in the afternoon. I mean, some of them, like those who come from North America, it's a long way for them just to do a very short drive in the morning and then do another short drive in the afternoon. So the best thing is always come out, do some breakfast in the camp, and then what you do, you spend the whole day out. So like fellows, you're seeing there, they got what you call box lunches, and that's what they'll be eating during the day when they get hungry. So they always choose a nice tree that have very good shade, sit under it, open their boxes and have a snack, either some chicken wings or some drumsticks or some beef fillet, a piece of fruit or some juice, and of course some will also have some beer just to make sure the day goes well. And as it starts to cool off again, they start doing game drive en route to the camp. Yes, and that sounds very delicious because when you're out there, you'll always enjoy everything. There's some who even will carry some wine, you know, and it's always very fun. It's something I used to do a long time when I was in a country called Tanzania in Serengeti, because Serengeti is so huge. Unlike the Mara, Serengeti is almost like 10 times bigger than the Mara. So you only have the best way to enjoy and maximize your stay there is eat breakfast in the camp and come out with some very big hampers that are full of food and some cool boxes that are full of drinks of any sort. I envy them when they do that. The only challenge is you don't drink so much because, I mean, the guide, of course, do not drink. You don't want to go out there and by mistake you get drunk and you start pointing to different animals to guests. Start talking of pink elephants or blue elephants. You have to be very careful. So this is one area. I guess I would see the owinos, and I don't think owinos. This is what? Almost 2 weeks. Let's say since the rains started, there are certain areas that you couldn't go, and the area that, or the territory of the owinos is one of those areas that was very difficult to access. So the vehicle I was talking about stayed stuck there for 2 days. Very good. So I still keep chancing on anything I might see. I like sitting like saying, you never know, it could be anything around the corner. But let's go to the gentleman who has something with himself, Stivobo.
Thank you, Gigi. We do indeed have the Unkahuma Pride. And well, I'm not going to lie, they haven't been the most exciting of cats this morning. But on weather days like this, don't we all feel like sleeping in when the weather's a little bit foul? Nothing nicer than when it's raining outside, if you're able to just roll back over and pull over the blankets. I wonder how we would change these lions' lives if we offer them a dry bed and a warm duvet. No doubt that would be a change from their usual lying wherever they lie. They would get very used to it. It definitely would be quite interesting to snuggle. Harvey, could you imagine snuggling with a big lion in your bed? Emma's spirit animal, the lions, lying down in the wet. So Emma feels like lying down on the muddy soil in the wet. I think Emma's just thinking about a nice, warm, cozy bed, which is exactly what we all look forward to on a day like this. Some hot chocolate and maybe a little movie and a nice, warm bed to keep yourself nice and comfortable. Well, these lions are looking like they're on leave. And, well, I am going to be going on leave after this drive, so thank you, everybody. I will be back in about a week's time. But the good news is Tristan is arriving back at some stage today, and he should be available for the afternoon safari. And, well, he is an expert tracker, and no doubt if these lions do move, he will be able to find wherever it is that they've gone to. Because, they haven't done any movement now, but with a very warm, or should I say overcast, cool day, there's a very good chance that they will move at some stage. So we'll see what Sidders and Tristan can do this afternoon. But thank you, everybody. It has been a wonderful Christmas period for myself, and the New Year's has started off very well and is a very promising 2019 ahead. I wish all of you a fantastic week, and I will see you again in about 8 days' time. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening or morning, wherever you might be, and we'll see you again this afternoon. Good afternoon, good evening, and goodbye.